is birth. From Jerusalem streets, a flame ignites in the hearts of men. Peter's voice bold, unbroken, preaching the word again and again. From Pentecost, the Spirit descends, a torrent of power to loose and bind. The lame shall walk, the blind shall see, the light of Christ for all mankind. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed to heretics' demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. The Arians rise with corrupted creed, denying the sun, sowing bad seed. Homoousios, the banner unfurled. Alexander Athanasius, teach the world. Eunomius, Macedonius, dimmed by doubt. Constantinople cast all of them out. The Cappadocians rose to fight. Trinity, 3 and 1, let there be light. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed to heretics' demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. Nestorius seeks to divide the Lord, but Cyril stands with strength restored. One person of Christ, Theotokos crowned, the voice of truth shall resound. To nature's divine and man in Christ united, the eternal plan. Leo's tone, the faithful cheer, the church stands strong forever clear. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed to heretics' demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. False teachings sway the unfaithful. Vigilis repents and is grateful. Christ has two wills and two energies, Maximos and Agatho. Eternal memory. Icons raise, the faithful sing, the image of Christ, a holy thing. Honor the saints, the faithful see, John Damascene. Holy Orthodox. Through fire and trial, persecution and flame, the Orthodox Church marches on in Jesus' name. Martyrs and fathers, voices of might, defenders of truth, uncreated light. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed to heretics' demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. Rise.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. I got Cleve to Antiquity here with me, and we have some updates on what is going on with the Roman Catholics. They just can't seem to stop losing lately.
Dude, this whole week has been absolutely insane. There's so much that we could talk about, but the pine sap thing that just happened was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I
that
do
was-
want to get to that. First things first, I do have to acknowledge that I have been raided by Jim Bob. Thank you very much, Jim Bob, for the raid. Like the stream, Jortlandia, please. Yes, like the stream. That is one of the best things you can do to support the channel. I guess for myself and for Cleve, I think I speak for both of us when I say the best thing you could do to support the channel is a channel membership. And then, of course, you know, the super chats are so helpful. Liking, sharing, commenting, and showing up here and interacting with us because we think you guys are generally cool. You guys generally have good ideas. Every now and then there's a bad one, but then we can talk about it, right?
That's right. Big ups for Jim Bob. Was watching a stream earlier today.
Yeah,
Jim Bob does some awesome stuff, dude. He makes me laugh. And he'll just like randomly start busting out in a song.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody's like, Alex, why don't you talk about like atheism or like, you know, these other things, like try to bring in the people that are further from the church. Like, look, I try to focus on the low hanging fruit. Okay. We have more in common with the Protestants, with the Roman Catholics. And plus Jim Bob is really good at debating evolution, debating atheism. Why am I going to go there when he's already more or less got it locked down? Right.
Right. Yeah. His evolution stuff is like top notch. I look at some of the comics he makes after the fact. I'm like, dang, dude, I never even thought of that line of reasoning. Like, that's a really good argument. His debates that he does on evolution are probably I think the best evolution debates on YouTube right now, to be honest.
Yeah. And his audience will catch up to him on that for sure, because he's severely undersubscribed to. SFC says, I hope Spicoli makes a guest appearance. I hope he becomes an Orthodox Christian. That was crazy. Father Timothy Curran asks, is the Romanian church in Canada on the new calendar? Yes, we are on the revised Julian. Yes, we are new calendar. So I guess we can get into it with the tweet that started it all, though. Which was this one right here, where Cleve said, well, that's game over for Roman Catholics. Leo declares your church's morality and doctrine are all subject to change at any time. There's no coming back from this. What were you thinking when you shared this one?
Oh, dude. Well, click into the initial article so we can kind of read the quote there. But basically, what he said, Pope Leo had a statement. He's been making a series of statements recently. But basically, what he said was the entirety of the faith is dynamic. The entirety of the faith can change. The entirety of the faith develops. Basically, then he goes in to say, our faith, our morals, doctrine, so on and so forth. Wait a minute. Morals develops? Morals change? Wait a minute. The entirety of the faith? What you mean? Dogmas? Dogmas change? Wait a minute. So a bunch of trads were pointing this out and we're crashing out all over X. Rightfully so. This is an insane statement to make. So you've got guys like Anthony Stein, who's a Roman Catholic podcaster, he posts something like, oh, great. So we're going to preserve the faith by changing it. Because he used that word preserve at the end. If you pull up the quote, well, we can read it verbatim, but he used that word preserve at the end there. And Anthony Stein was like, oh, so we're going to preserve the faith by changing it. So they got it. They understood what he was talking about. But shortly after I made that post, like a wave of Roman Catholics came in there. This is just doctrinal development. This is nothing burger. This is just doctrinal development. No, dude. Saying your dogmas can change, saying your dogmas develop after they've already been established, that's actually heresy according to Vatican I.
Yeah,
so
I think
your own standards.
Yeah, the one that really got my attention was the morals. Like, okay, I get like fine, the dynamic understanding of this or that. Maybe you can wordsmith your way around. I don't think you can, but maybe you could try and convince some, right? But dynamic morality is like, I don't think there is a way around that one, man. Like morals, they either are objective or they're not. It's one of our strongest arguments against atheism is objective morality. If you have dynamic morality, then you're in the same shoes as, the atheist down the street. They can change at any time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do see these types of changes within the Roman Catholic Church, though. At one point, they would execute the death penalty themselves. And now there was a recent statement made under, I believe it was Francis or it was Leo that said that the death penalty infringes on human dignity, that it is implicitly immoral, that you should not do this. So it's like a complete 180. Is that a development? No, that's a contradiction of your previous statements. And there was talking about that Pine Sap discussion that just happened between Jay and Pine Sap. That document that was just brought up. I mean, the previous popes said that Skittles people basically should be, unalived. But this new statement by the Italian bishops says, oh, actually, they could be priests, just so long as they're not so obvious about it. As long as they're not so obvious and they're not like dating Fabio, skipping along. They're going into the seminary interview and they're like, hi, how's it going? My name is,
They have like a L'Oreal commercial in the back, like with their long Fabio hair, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just wanted to say what's up to Justin from Transfigured Life. Glad to see you in here, man. But I wanted to make the point also that your take is actually not very controversial in response to what Pope Leo was saying. Here we have Father James Altman, a Roman Catholic clergy member, who has a more extreme reaction, it seems, than you do. Says Leo is a depraved heretic. He doesn't even call him Holy Father or Pope Leo, just Leo.
Yes, absolutely. Well, a ton of Roman Catholics were pointing this out. Clergy, trad podcasters, a bunch of people had a huge issue with what was being said because it's such an obvious departure. People were saying that they were gonna use this statement to start pushing the Skittles stuff, which it does seem like if you've watched the This Week in Roman Catholic News, all of these appointments, all these new cardinal appointments, they have all been people who are very pro Skittles. Every single one of them.
They're all Skittles, like
for real.
All of them.
Legitimately, they're all like, well, we need to be softer on this issue. We need to be softer on this issue. What's the one thread that ties all these guys together? It's that issue. It's that one issue. The heads of the dicasteries that are being appointed by Leo, the heads of the new cardinals that are being appointed, the new archbishops, all of the new appointments, they all fall within that realm. There was something that the trad podcaster Timothy Gordon, who I actually respect, when Leo was appointed, he made such a salient point about the appointments under Francis because he had followed that and reported on that consistently. And one of the things that he said, appointments are not about pushing teaching. Appointments are about your legacy. So this is to set up for the next pontificate, for the next change, for the next tile to be dropped, for the next domino. So we're seeing this. We're seeing the infrastructure be built up. All of these appointments, this is the next leadership. This is the next wave of leadership within the Roman Catholic Church. If every single appointment is in line with a particular ideology, what do you think is coming down the pipe? It doesn't take a genius to point this out.
Yeah, I agree. I know you mentioned pulling up the article, but I'll do you one better. I have Pope Francis himself, or not Pope Francis, Pope Leo himself, reading out, like this was him actually delivering that statement. So I'll just play it here.
In our catechesis on the dogmatic constitution Dei Verbum, today we considered the relationship between scripture and tradition. In the passage we just heard from John's Gospel, Jesus says he will send the Holy Spirit to guide the apostles to remember, apply, and proclaim everything he taught. Sacred Scripture, the inspired Word of God, and sacred tradition, the living memory of the Church, are intimately bound together and form the one deposit of faith. This deposit, which contains the entirety of our faith, doctrine, worship, morality, etc., is not static, but dynamic. For
that's everything.
Yes. The entirety of the faith.
Doctrine, worship, morality. I mean, it makes sense. They're so willing to just like throw the TLM into the traditional Latin Mass into the garbage because who cares? It's dynamic, right? We'll have clown mass. Who cares?
Right.
It's dynamic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think that is kind of that is what they're pushing for. They're just basically pushing to be able to reform every single teaching they've ever put out. We actually see this multiple times within recent years. Like they just got rid of limbo. They used to teach limbo for the longest time. They no longer teach limbo for unbaptized babies. They used to teach that Skittles people should be basically, but now they're putting them in the clergy. They used to teach the death penalty was A-okay, but now it's implicitly immoral. So yeah, it's a complete 180. You want to cope about doctrinal development. This is like Newman and all this stuff. Oh, we're just clarifying previous. That's not a clarification. That is a contradiction of previous teaching. And they'll go on and they'll try to lie to your face and say that, oh, you just don't understand development. You just don't understand what development is. No, dude, if it's a complete 180, that's not development. That is a contradiction. So yeah, it's been funny to watch them kind of flounder this entire week.
They take it so far. It's insane. Father Stephen says, we've taken that deposit, invested it in any number of rackets, and now we have a small fortune in heresy to show for it. Speaking from the shoes of the Roman Catholics. That seems spot on to me. X72 says, so that means the papacy is dynamic then, right?
Right.
Oh, whoa, Phoenix Ear gifted 20 memberships. Thank you, Phoenix Ear. That is worthy of hold on, where is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, am I gonna get the sound for each of the 20 memberships? Oh man.
You just spam 20 eagle.
Dude, I gotta figure out how to turn that off. I mean, we'll keep it going, I guess, because
hey, you got 5 more, dude.
Yes.
Mr.
Fist gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Mr. Fist.
That's right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Very based. Very based with the Talmudic cube on your forehead.
The cube with the Talmudic cube.
Yes, very based. Very based.
Guys, thank you so much. Phoenix here and Mr. Fist. Appreciate you guys. You guys keep the lights on here, and that way I can afford Cleve's appearance fee on my channel.
Yeah, it's only $50,000 a second, so you know.
24 more eagles. Oh no.
That's right. Yeah, just spam them over and over and over again. This whole stream would just be like brain rot eagle screeches.
And for some reason, I feel like you know, you guys would still stick around and support me for that. I appreciate that. I do have it's a little off topic, I guess, but a script in the works for, I want to get back to more of those like edutainment videos that I was doing that started, like, that kind of grew the channel in the first place. And I want to take down Calvinism. So I feel like they're also kind of debate bros, right?
Yeah.
So it might bait them a little bit, but I do think that their worldview is dangerous and wrong. So
yeah,
you guys look out for that.
I feel like out of the Protestants, they'd be the only ones to take the bait. Like, a lot of Protestants just stopped debating. But Calvinists still do to some extent. I mean, you got James White, needgod.net is a Calvinist. Taco Talks is a Calvinist. Like, those would be like the 3 guys I know that still do debates.
I think Matt Slick, maybe.
Is he a Calvinist, Matt Slick?
I thought he was. Or a Turretin fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
maybe.
they do. Yeah,
Matt Slick or Turretin fan. But
I don't know if Matt Slick is doing debates right now, though, because his wife passed away.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. But otherwise, I don't know of like any Calvinists that will actually debate Calvinism. Like, they'll debate other things like apostolic succession or icons, but they're not going to debate like total depravity. I know Redeemed Zoomer was supposed to debate open theist idol killer Warren McGrew, and he bailed like last second without notice and without a good excuse either.
Right.
It's just like, seems to me like he was running. You hear that, RZ? Stop running, man. Defend your view. See if it can withstand scrutiny.
Well, dude, the thing with Warren is he is so laser focused on this Calvinism topic that any Calvinist that would debate him you're like debating the specialist in one field, and he like knows every counter argument. Dude, his stuff on Calvinism is like mind blowing. He just did a series on PSA that was pretty good too, and he'll address the historical argument. So I actually do like idol killer stuff.
I do. I also like his use of AI music and his AI music videos. He was kind of the inspiration for that. The funny thing is that Idol Killer is 99% for EO. I hope he comes over to our side, but he's going to have to drop the open theism. I don't think it's compatible with Holy Orthodoxy. I think that in our view, you kind of have to believe that God has exhaustive knowledge of the future.
Right.
You know, and in his view, he just thinks the future doesn't exist, so there's nothing to know.
Yeah, I mean, pray for him. You know, there's always going to be one or two things that people get hung up on, I think. if you're going to adopt any kind of framework like that. But yeah, I agree. He's a little more amenable. So pray for him. I think he's a good dude. So
yeah, likewise.
Cool to see him take that step.
Yeah, I've been talking to him a little bit lately, like in DMs and stuff, and he's very, very cool. Jordan Miller, $4.99. Thank you very much, Jordan. Appreciate that. Anyone else think Trump is Nero from Revelations? You mean Revelation, or is it Revelations? Just call it the Apocalypse. I think that's way cooler. Nice. I do not think Trump. I think Nero is Nero, and I think Trump is Trump. And I think 666 in Revelations, you have to go to Andrew of Caesarea to figure out, or Father Stephen's Whole Counsel of God podcast. He did cover the book of the Apocalypse there, so that would also be a good resource. What do you think, Cleve?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's all this kind of like end times, like schizo posting stuff that you get when you spend too much time in the evangelical camp. And the reason that you get that is because each of them have to try to figure out prophecy by themselves. You don't have the church to guide you. You don't have church history to guide you. You don't have the witness of the fathers. You don't have the councils. So you're just kind of like trying to piece it together. And you're like, when you do that yourself, it just like drives you insane. Which is why you have these like dispensationalists. Granted, that's like one big psyop. But you've got like people that are like, the red heifer's gonna bring the Antichrist, and then I'm gonna, you know.
But Cleve, if we don't have that, what else is Ruslan going to make videos about? You know, so, the red heifer. I like Ruslan. I'm just joking around. I like I haven't met him, but from what I know about him, he's a cool guy. And that's I know right. You guys.
Ruslan, hear this? I'm defending you here live on the show. I'm defending your honor. Let's go, Alex. No,
another 5 gifted from Compendium. Thank you very much, Compendium. And Father Stephen. Alex is downplaying my comments here because he knows I'm coming after him about his Old Testament textual criticism comments from last week. I didn't even say that much, man. Father, I didn't even say that much. But if you're going to go to anybody for, biblical studies, textual criticism, that is Father Dr. Stevens' literal PhDs in biblical studies. So he's the guy to talk to about that. I did purchase recently Father Stevens' books on the Apocrypha and on the Whole Counsel of God. I didn't read those books. And now I'll have a more nuanced view on the Orthodox approach to it. But let's get back to Pope Leo here. We can finish off this little speech.
This deposit, which contains the entirety of our faith, doctrine, worship, morality, etc., is not static, but dynamic.
It's not static, but dynamic. But in a second, he's going to say it's preserved. So I guess that you can just hand wave this away, right?
Right, exactly.
Develops and is more profoundly understood by the Church over the centuries under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Entrusted to the Church, who preserves and interprets it in Jesus' name, this deposit helps us to navigate the complexities of life to reach our eternal home in heaven. May we become living and faithful witnesses to God's word in scripture and tradition.
I think you made a good point, Cleve, that really resonated with me because my legal background, right? But you were saying, like, if somebody says the Constitution is a living document and they preserve the ideals of the founders in that it changes with the times, would anybody on earth, think that means they're maintaining the original ideas of the founders?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge issue, dude. And the way that they word this stuff is always so mealy-mouthed. It's like, okay, so yeah, we're preserving it, but we're preserving it by changing it. Or share that thing that I just put in the thing in StreamYard. Add that to the screen real quick because I want to show this. This is Anthony Stein. This is a traditional Catholic, and they noticed the issue with this statement as well. It's mealy-mouthed. It's both sides of his mouth. He's saying, in one sense, we're going to preserve the doctrine that was handed to us, but we're also going to completely change it. And Anthony Stein caught this. He says, oh yeah, we preserve the deposit of faith by changing it. Neato. And it's so obvious that is the intent of this statement. We see this again several times in history. The death penalty, at one point, licit, actually used by the church. At not too long later, well, you know what? Now actually it's immoral. We shouldn't do it. It actually goes against human dignity, so on and so forth. So, I mean, I just think we see a lot of cope. This is ultimately a system defeater for the Roman Catholic Church, in my opinion, because if you have the head of your church that is impeachable by no one, right? He has no equals. No one can really check him on what he changes.
No, nobody can check him. Like that qualifier, really, you don't even need to put that in there. It's
correct.
Nobody can check him.
Yep, no one. And he just admitted he's not playing by the rules. He's like, guys, I can change whatever I want, and I'm going to say that it is me preserving the faith, and you guys are just going to have to be okay with that. And that's basically all it is. When you boil it down to its nuts and bolts, that's all it is.
Right. I have to take a moment to acknowledge the Black Diva in the house taking a break from trawling through the Epstein file dump. Jay Dyer, if there's development of doctrine, why not morals? I mean, yeah, that's what you were pointing at, Jay, with your discussion with Pine Sap today. Was that like, look, the morals are developing. Now it's okay to be an open gay priest, at least in this Italian diocese. Right. And that was approved by the Vatican, right? And they might say, oh, it's a certain dicastery of the Vatican. Well, who answers for that? Who's responsible for that? The Pope.
Yeah. And who are they appointing over these dicasteries? Who's over the dicastery of the doctrine of the faith? That's Cardinal Smoochie. That's the guy that wrote
yeah.
What was it? It was like love me with your mouth or something. Like that's the book he wrote. It's just
that's
ridiculous.
So crazy.
That's the guy running. That is the head of the dicastery of the doctrine of faith. That's why I'll be reporting on this in a little bit, but with the SSPX potential split, yes. Anthony Stein, again, with the banger tweets. Awesome Twitter account to follow, by the way. He said, yeah, I don't blame them when you have to wait for approval from Cardinal Smoochie to see if you can get new bishops. I don't blame them for wanting to just go ahead and, ordain them themselves.
Yeah, and like you, I have great respect for those guys like Tim Gordon and that are actually keeping. It shows that they actually care about their church and they do actually believe in their position, that they're going to try to keep each other accountable instead of just trying to sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, that's the big issue. It's the Pope splainers. It's the guys like Pine Sap. It's the guys like Pope Respecter. It's the guys like. In this one case, we'll watch Cameron Riker's response to my statements there. It's guys like that try to sweep all this stuff under the rug. And they try to cover up every single scandal they possibly can. Their whole goal, we heard this actually from Elijah Yassi in your debate. He said, my whole goal is to make sure people don't leave Roman Catholicism. They're terrified. They know that the walls are collapsing around them. They're just like, oh, what can we say to prevent them from, Pope's in the Epstein files, covered up immediately. Let's spam report these posts and make sure that they get community noted. That's exactly what they did. I saw several major Pope-splaining Roman Catholic accounts copy and paste the same exact post that said anyone who commits calumny against Pope John Paul II, saint, or whatever is a saint in their system, is going to be judged in hell or something. It was like a copy and paste post like moments after it was released. Okay. And then shortly after that, the next day, it was a community note with an AI. They mass reported it was like an AI community note with a Wikipedia page from John Paul II's wiki and an irrelevant article from Snopes about just the picture of Pope JP2 and Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. Just so totally it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It was just like completely irrelevant links. They're like, oh, we're just going to trick this AI into, because they don't really care about what the truth is. They just want the people who are really stupid to stay in. And if you say enough to make them not look into it further, they're like, oh, okay, it's fake. I'm just going to keep scrolling. That's what they want. They don't want people to actually research this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. We got another $4.99 super chat from True41C. Before finding out about Holy Orthodoxy, I watched Warren demolish Matt Slick. He definitely helped me see the nonsense of Calvinism. Yeah, I think Warren is good at attacking Calvinism for sure. The open theist position, again, like I said, I think it has the same problems that any other Protestant worldview has. That the church is indefectible. The deposit of faith was given once and for all at the beginning, and so there has to be some historical line of continuity there. But like Cleve said, pray for him. He is awfully close to Holy Orthodoxy. In talking to him, maybe myself or Cleve, maybe we can get him to jump over these last few hurdles here. Yes, thank you.
Pull up Jay's comment right there. He says the RCs are following their saint, and then share the screen real quick, because I want to show you exactly what they're doing. It's absurd.
Sure, let me find. Yeah, the Roman Catholics are following their saint JP2 and covering up crimes. Yeah, that was pretty. There are a few scandals with John Paul II there, like the Marcel scandal. I think that directly involved JP2. That was a big problem.
And he was complicit in covering up a lot of the abuse. And actually, the picture at the time of the open meeting in which he met with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and all that, where that picture is from, that was right in the midst of all of the cover-ups and scandals that he was doing. But this is the statement that came out recently. So this was the post. And there's a couple of posts. A bunch of mainstream news media outlets ran with this as well. For a period of time, Epstein lived in the Vatican with Pope John Paul II, the assistant says. So the Vatican is involved as well. This is like a remodeling guy that was working on Epstein's home. Anyway, in the actual document itself, it's talking about, okay, he's telling a story about how Epstein wants these different columns in his home or one of his properties, and he got the idea from the time that he was living with Pope John Paul II in the Vatican. He looked at a variety of different columns captured in wars. He told me every pope demanded to have a column from every concurred country, so there is a collection of different columns in the Vatican. So, and his time staying at the Vatican in one of the apartments there, okay, he noticed this. The Pope probably told him this story, so on and so forth. And this is the context of this email. Okay, so let's look at the stupid comments on this. Okay, and I'm gonna look at this community note too, just to show you how dishonest these people are, because this was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, and I think this ties in real quick to what Jay was saying about like the bots running point on this, just like mass reporting this stuff.
Dude, it's all anonymous accounts. It's the big following anonymous accounts on X are just running cover on this.
Yeah.
So first off, a whole bunch of people were saying this was fake. By the way, this like file was fake. So I just posted the direct link to the file because it's there. It's actually in the Epstein. Right. What was interesting was when this post came out, I was actually scrolling through, trying to find stuff in reference to this, and I didn't even notice that part of that particular email. Because I was like, oh, you know what? I saw some Vatican tie stuff. I want to see if there's any more Vatican tie stuff in the Epstein files. This guy posted it. I was like, oh, I completely missed it in this particular thing. So I was already familiar with where this was. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and I'll post the link here. But look at this stupid. They think you are stupid. These people think you are really stupid. The email was sent in 2015. JP2 died in 2005. The email isn't saying he's currently living with JP2. Epstein's dead. You guys are dumb. Okay.
It's totally inapposite. Yeah.
It's just like, okay. Actually this disproves it. Epstein's walls were purple. What does it have to do with what we're talking about here? But they think you're stupid. And apparently 1,700 people are that stupid to think that this is a refutation of what this, this article is saying. Yeah. But all it's saying is this guy that was working for Epstein, right, claims that he heard this from Epstein, that Epstein lived in the Vatican, and he learned about this various column fascination that the Pope had. And that's all the thing is saying. But they're saying, no, this was published after the fact. Well, duh, of course it would have to be published after the fact for him to be recounting that it happened. You guys are stupid. Anyway, this was another one that said, this email appears to be fabricated. This is fake. You guys are lying or whatever. No, dude, it's real. But again, 200 people liking that it's fake. And they don't look any further. This is who you're dealing with 9 times out of 10. This makes no sense. All anonymous accounts, by the way. This makes no sense. The Pope had been dead for 10 years when that email was sent. Fake news. All right, look. Let's look at this community note. The purported email claiming Epstein lived in the Vatican with Pope John Paul II is dated 2015. This is what they tricked the stupid AI. This is an AI community note, by the way. Is dated 2015 after the Pope's death in 2005. No evidence supports Epstein residing there besides a 2003 visit to a papal audience. And it links this dumb Snopes article from the picture of him visiting openly and then a Wikipedia page. No evidence supports Epstein residing there. What about
That's
This
the evidence.
freaking
Like,
email, dude.
that email is the evidence.
Yes. What about this freaking email? So they mass report this, and then you get Pine Sap like afterwards was like, "Ha, take this. You ortho bros are always lying about the, dude, these people can't be this dumb. I mean, Lord have mercy, pray for them. But it like drives me insane that this is the amount of lying that they have to do to keep people in their cult. This email was sent in 2015. JP2 died in 2005. Dude, come on.
Yeah, Jay said they are acting like the email being in 2015 discredits it. LOL, no, it's referring to the past. Yeah, like as if you can't send an email memorializing something that happened in the past. We do it all the time in law practice. It's called a confirming email. This is just to confirm that we had this conversation, a week ago, wherein I discussed this, you discussed that, right? And then you send it so you have a written record of what happened. You can obviously record past events in emails just because how are you going to write about something that happened in the future? Like, obviously, you're going to write about things that happened in the past.
Oh, this guy's obviously saying Epstein lives with Pope right now, even though they're both dead. It's obviously talking about today. They're both dead, but it's talking about today. Dude, oh my goodness, bro. It's this is what we have to deal with. This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I think the good news is that like thinking people will see right through this. Right. So at the very least, like the quality of people, although there is a part of me I know that there's the like the caravan effect, how people will just like want to jump on to what the general consensus is. And when you have these bots trying to create a general consensus, that might be enough to dupe some people. But yeah, Jay Dyer with 1999 super chat. Thank you very much, Jay. JP2 also knighted the infamous PDF trafficker Jimmy Seville. Pine Sap wasn't and
wasn't even aware.
Yeah, wasn't even aware. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I saw Jay talking about that, and on X, he was sharing that Twitter post, and it was what you were talking about earlier, Cleve. That like this infrastructure that they're building now, and these appointments, these ordinations that they're putting out now, are just setting up the structure for the next person to come in and continue pushing the boundaries of this.
Yeah. Well, dude, I have so much information saved. I did a ton of homework to investigate the ties between Epstein and the Vatican. When I go live at 8:00, it is going to be mind blowing the amount of ties and what they're actually pushing for. So stay tuned. I'm not going to drop all of it now while we're doing this, but it is going to be mind-blowing. I mean, the ties to the Rothschilds, the ties to these various NGOs, where the money is going, what he was investing in, what infrastructure he was putting in place. I mean, all of this stuff, nobody's reporting on. And the people that are defending this nonsense basically are complicit in the abuse of children. I mean, that's basically what it is. This is evil behavior. You're saying, no, actually, this isn't what's going on. And don't look at it. And don't look at when these PDF file people are giving a bunch of money to NGOs that literally have to do with finding children homes. We shouldn't look at that. We shouldn't care about that. Well, dude, you don't care about the children in the Roman Catholic Church? Well, sorry, dude. I actually care about the kids that are in your church, and I don't want this stuff happening to them. So how about that, dude? You want to get upset at me for reporting on it? No, dude. I actually care when evil stuff is going on. How about that?
Sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? I agree with that. 1999 from Rock Willivione, 2112, 1999. Thank you very much, Rock. Remember when the trads thought Pope Leo was going to be a course correction? For the sake of the Latins who try to be faithful, whether they be zealous converts or daily mass attending grandmas, may their blinders fall off. Amen. Yes, may their blinders fall off. And they can join the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, which is the Holy Orthodox Church. Speaker of the House 66 says papists couldn't handle a sex scandal that didn't involve them. They had to get involved somehow.
Good grief, dude.
Thank you for the $5, man. That's funny. But anyway, these tweets that you put out, criticizing this rightfully, and it was, well within the main current of opinions, earned you some wrath from Roman Catholic apologist Cameron Riker.
Oh, hold on. Let me remove mine.
Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah. And I guess we can react to that video briefly here. It's not a very long one. Just shy of 7 minutes. So put the playback speed here, and then we'll see what he has to say, because it seems to me like they're trying to defend the indefensible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recently, a well-known Orthodox apologist has accused Pope Leo of heresy.
Pause real quick.
I'm glad that you're a well-known Orthodox apologist, first of all.
That's all I was going to say.
made
Pause. Pause. Go back and play that again at least 3 times. You know what's funny? I was when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm saving that. I showed my wife later that night. I said, hold on, let me show you what this guy has to say about my channel. A well-known Orthodox apologist. I played it like 3 times. Shut up.
You made it.
Dude, yeah, it's so funny. I was playing that at coffee hour this last I guess yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I've made it. Well-known Orthodox apologist, you know. Beep, boop, beep, boop.
That's awesome.
So funny, dude.
He says Cameron, who won't debate anyone. Yeah, what's up with these like apologists in name only? I've never heard of like an apologist who doesn't debate. Like, that's kind of implied in the name apologist, to offer an apologia for what you believe.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, dude, is I'm not even really doing apologetics right now. I'm just kind of like interviewing priests and doing news. So, I mean, but back when I was a Protestant, Cameron actually did debate me. I think that was the last debate he ever did. And we were debating on we were debating on the canon of Scripture, and my position was that there is a tiered distinction, and his position was that there wasn't, that it's all the same. So he had no idea. He'd never read anything about the Council of Rome, had never read anything about the Council of Carthage, had never read anything about any of these councils. And he basically conceded at the very beginning. He said, yeah, your position seems more likely, but I got to listen to the church. That was his whole argument. It's like, what are you talking about? So you're just conceding the entire historical argument? You're just saying
the thing that's in question is whether your church is correct.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Let's go back. But yes, very famous, widely known Orthodox apologist who is at this time really just covering news and backing off the debates.
So here is this post by Cleave to Antiquity. Cleave to Antiquity's real name is Ben. He was a Protestant and has recently converted to Orthodoxy. Nothing but love for Ben. I think he's headed in the right direction, and I hope that with his recent conversion to Orthodoxy, he's really developed a deep devotion to Our Lady. But this,
in response to that, I'd like to say it seems that Cameron may be heading also in the right direction with his devotion to Roman Catholicism. If he would just follow the history a little more, then eventually he would end up at Holy Orthodoxy. God bless him in his journey, That's
right. That's right. Yeah, Cameron, come hang out with me at coffee hour this next Sunday. We'll hang out, and we'll talk about how I'm a very well-known Orthodox apologist in front of everybody. No, I'm just kidding. No, for real though.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. In all seriousness to this guy, if he ever did want to talk about Orthodoxy, nothing against him. Every time I've had a discussion with him, it's been, pretty cordial, at least there. So if he ever wants to actually talk, we can talk, but we are going to break down some of his points in this video.
Right.
Bad take. I think it's a very bad take. I'm going to walk you through this and just kind of explain what's going on here, because I think there's a difference in the way that we're using words that is leading us to have these divisions unnecessarily. And I think that Cleave to Antiquity Ben here is taking these words and reading them in the most negative way possible. Perhaps he would disagree. I'm welcome to hear his arguments. I'm very open to that, of course. But this is what he says. Well, that's game over for Roman Catholics. Oh, man. It all just ended just like that, did it? That's funny.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, in what other light can you read the entirety of our faith is not static, but dynamic?
Right.
Again, like that comparison you made with the Constitution, I thought was perfect, right? Like, how else do you take that? The Constitution is not static, but a dynamic. It is a living document. It is always changing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the Cope response that he's going to give here is obviously going to be Newman's doctrinal development. He's going to say there's like a seed of this, and then it's hashed out. And he's going to talk about, contraception. He's going to talk about like all these issues didn't exist yet, so on and so forth. What about the subjects in morality where the issue did exist before, and you had a stance on it, and now that stance is completely changed? Is that development or is that contradiction? That shows that your morality is not objective; it is subjective to the time.
Yeah, you say you have a deeper understanding of something. That's one thing, but that's not what we're talking about here. Like, I get that that's what they think is going on, but if you just look at this on its face, this is a contradiction. This is not a deeper understanding of the same thing.
Right.
Leo declares your church's morality and doctrine are all subject to change at any time. There's no coming back from this. Okay. Hyperbolic, perhaps. Trying to get views, perhaps. I get it. Respect the game. That's fine. But let's take a look at what Pope Leo actually said.
I mean, was Father Altman trying to get views when he phrased this like way more harshly than you did?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't afraid to mince words. He said Leo is a depraved heretic.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're over here saying it's game over, which I think is like pretty docile compared to saying Leo is a depraved heretic. That's pretty powerful language.
Right.
Warning, it's almost a nothing burger. There's really not much here. So Pope Leo XIV on January 28th, he said, the entirety of our faith, doctrine, worship, morality, etc., is not static, but dynamic. Dynamic. Pay attention to that word. That's the word that Ben's honing in on. It develops and is more deeply understood by the church over the centuries under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. The church preserves and interprets it in Jesus's name. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, Ben is taking a look at this quote, hitting on the word dynamic and saying, look, the church's teaching, the church's morality, doctrine is dynamic. That means that it changes over time.
Yep, that is what that means. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, exactly.
So what the Catholic Church believed in the first, second, third century is different than what the Catholic Church teaches today. Therefore, it's evolution. It's heresy because the truth can't change. The truth is immortal and eternal. And then here's the kicker. He adds a comment to this post and says this, not to mention Leo is casually preaching condemned heresy according to Vatican I. This is what Vatican I says. If anyone says that it is possible that at some time, given the advancement of knowledge, a sense may be assigned to the dogmas propounded by the church, which is different from that which the church has understood and understands, let him be anathema.
All right, pause real quick. Wait, go back to that screenshot so they can see that. All right, so if anyone says that it is possible at some time, given the advancement of knowledge, a sense may be assigned to the dogmas propounded by the church, which is different from that which the church has understood and understands, let them be anathema. Okay, well, you said the entirety of the faith is dynamic and can change. The entirety of the faith, all of it, okay? Every single piece, faith, morals. Wait, is the entirety of the faith, does that encompass the dogmas as well? Whoa, wait a minute. This is actually condemned heresy according to Vatican I. I mean, where do you even go with this? I mean, you're going to have somebody cope and say, oh, no, it's just saying the dogmas can get fleshed out later. There's like in seed form in the early church, but now they're no. He said the entirety of the faith, the entirety, even including what it now is dynamic.
Yeah, entirety means the whole thing. It's all. The door is open to revisit all the issues. And I think what's important to hear is that word sense, right? If anyone says that it is possible that at some time, given the advancement of knowledge, a sense may be assigned to the dogmas propounded by the church, which is different from that which the church has understood and understands. I mean, of course, that doesn't mean understanding the same thing on a deeper level. That means, but that doesn't even mean having a completely different doctrine. That just means deviating from like the traditional understanding.
Right.
And now you see this with like that Vatican approval of openly gay men becoming, I should say Skittles, openly Skittles men becoming priests in Italy. I mean, how is that not a sense that deviates from the traditional understanding of the church? That's like on its face.
Right. Yeah, he's actually going to shoot himself in the foot here in a moment if you keep watching this. So notice this is talking about the dogmas changing, and notice that Leo said all of the faith. So keep those two things in mind, and then watch what Cameron says. He's going to try to break things down into categories, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, Father Stephen says they think God is pure act and the Christian faith is pure dynamis.
Yeah. That's funny.
Which is different from that which the church has understood and understands, let him be anathema. Okay, so there's a few things that we have to understand. The Catholic Church teaches and has always taught and will always teach that the dogmas of the church cannot change. The development of doctrine does not mean that we have old doctrines that get superseded by new doctrines. That's not what that means. The development of doctrine means that we have the deposit of faith, we have the articles of the faith, we have these things that we must believe that are true, immutable.
So he just said, did you hear what he just said? He said that does not mean that we can have doctrines that didn't change. He used that word. That does not mean that we can then have doctrines that then change. What were we just talking about, dude? We were just talking about the death penalty. We were just talking about the Skittles priest thing. We were just talking about limbo. All of these things were doctrines that changed, dude. These aren't developments. This is a complete 180. So self-refuting argument here is it is not saying that we can change our doctrine. We should not, we cannot change our doctrine. It can develop, but it cannot change. Well, dude, those are changes. So he shot himself in the foot. He's going to continue to do so here in a moment. But
yeah, absolutely.
True, cannot change, and we deepen our understanding of them, or we change, in a certain sense, our application of these truths. So what's going on here? Well, Ben is taking this word dynamic and taking it to mean that the dogmas change over time. You have dogma A, which evolves into dogma B, which moves into dogma C, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what the church teaches. The church is dynamic insofar as she takes these dogmas and understands them more deeply and applies them differently depending upon the day and age that she lives in.
Which is like, he's great at like conveying definitions and just making assertions, but there's no actual like synthesis or analysis here that Cameron is offering, or like how should we understand, you know, this statement and the fact that it's a blatant contradiction that is something that is dynamic yet at the same time preservational.
right.
Like it's like very good definitions, nice, but there's no like deeper level of understanding to this. Briefly wanted to acknowledge that there's a debate that Jay is running from, Father Stephen versus Jay Dyer Twin Peaks showdown. When? Yes.
Nice.
Jay is running. Father Stephen will block Jay because of his position on Twin Peaks. And we got another 20 gifted from Phoenix Ear. Yes, thank you very much, Phoenix Ear. Appreciate that. I'm going to have to do an eagle caw for that. Thank you for the 20 gifted, Phoenix here. Very good. Jay, if you want to jump on the stream and get, I know you have your own stream coming up, but if you wanted to come and contribute a bit to how to understand this papacy stuff, I mean, let's go ahead. Fuentes whines about me 4 times. I reply and I'm ankle biting.
Right. Yeah, dude, I see that all the time. The Fuentes debate against Jay Dyer was absolutely ridiculous. Fuentes basically says, and in his follow-up video, he said the key. He learned absolutely
singular
nothing.
key.
Dude, he learned absolutely nothing since the initial debate. Basically, what he said was, "Oh, don't you know only Peter has the key? Only Peter has the key." He said, the Vatican look like a key. Only Peter have the key. Dude, don't you understand that your own councils, right, say that all of the apostles have the keys? Did you learn absolutely nothing in the 10 years since the initial debate? I mean, the original debate was so bad, we made that meme of like it was like a Roman Catholic simulator. It was like the dog with the keys like everywhere. I don't know if you saw that, but that was pretty funny.
DoorDash Thomas $4.99. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, though we disagree on a lot of stuff. You are aware that this canon is specifically condemning rationalists who would espouse new dogma not even virtually contained in the revealed datum. Yeah, I feel like, no offense, but I feel like you're always trying to show off, like prove to everybody that you were like very smart. But I mean,
he's a very smart young baby boy that wants to be Skittles Roman Catholic seminarian. That's basically who he is. But this is the thing. Look, Leo said all of the faith, all of it is dynamic. All of it can change. All of it. This doesn't like, you don't separate these things into different categories. He said all of it is dynamic. All is the word. Go yell at your boy Leo for not making these distinctions. You're the one making distinctions for him.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. But thank you for the super chat.
Oh my goodness, dude.
All right, let's get back to Cameron here.
This is one of the reasons that Catholics are doing really well on online evangelization.
Hold on. What?
In age that she lives in. This is one of the reasons that Catholics are doing really well on online evangelization.
Do you think they're doing really well in online evangelization?
Dude, I don't know, man. Oh, I think if you basically lie about everything that your church actually does in real life and you just condense it down to a subset of ideas, you can sell people like a false idea of what the church is and get them in initially eventually they're going to fall away. Or they'll spend enough time that they've spent so much to remain there that they'll just fight to the teeth to stay.
Jay, I sent you the link on Twitter if you want to call in audio only. If not, I see you're on the road, so that's cool. What's up, Nikolai? Thank you for calling in. Danny Town 2500 CRC, thank you very much. Insert Alex Jones spamming juice meme, but it's an RC spamming keys.
Right.
That's a great meme.
Because the church's teaching is dynamic. It's dynamic insofar as the same eternal principles, the same eternal faith handed once for all to the saints is now being applied in a different way. The teachings aren't dynamic insofar as they change from, well, we used to think Jesus was fully divine, but we don't think that anymore. Of course not. That would be absolute heresy. That doesn't make sense. They're dynamic insofar as we take these teachings and we can apply them in new ways. The church is able to adapt.
I mean, they're dynamic insofar as, gay Orthodox priests, Skittles, dude, I have to get better at self-censoring. The Skittles Orthodox priests were condemned to death at one point to unaliving, and now they're being promoted. I mean, that's what an interesting development.
Well, dude, here's the thing, man. So I see these young guys that float around in Christian Wagner's orbit, and they basically come up with their own idea of what Roman Catholicism is because they're perpetually online and they don't actually spend much time in a parish. So then you get these same people that want to become priests, and my heart just freaking breaks for them, dude. Like I see Voice of Reason becoming a priest, and the first thing that they assign him to do, or not Voice of Reason, what's that guy's name? The Iron Inquisitor guy, sorry. Iron Inquisitor becoming a priest, and the first thing that he's involved in is this like ecumenical service, like Greek service and stuff, and he's like staring up at this concrete wall. I'm like, dude, run, get out of there. Like the documentaries are literally 80% of the clergy are Skittles. Yeah. Even Pope Francis said there is too much of this stuff going on in seminaries. I can only imagine what these people are going through as they attend the seminaries in these institutions. I don't want dudes like DoorDash Thomist to have to go there and potentially get abused. Let's just put it out there just like that. I don't want this stuff to happen to you guys. Like, yeah, there's like, we can disagree on doctrine. We can disagree on teaching. But at the end of the day, dude, it's going to break my heart if you fall for this cult hook, line, and sinker. You get so invested, you end up going there, something ends up happening to you, and you're stuck in this freaking system where that is your life for the remainder of your days here on this earth. Like, that breaks my heart, dude.
Yeah, that's spot on. And I mean, the only reason why we are, attacking Roman Catholicism and why we are kind of on the offense here is because we do care about these people, right? It's not like we're here and we're trying to just poo-poo everybody for the sake of it. Like, we do care about your souls, and we think Holy Orthodoxy is true. Come to our side, right? Nonetheless, though, we have Jay Dizzle in the chat. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Hopefully the sound isn't too annoying from the road in the background, but glad to be with you guys. Really enjoying the show so far. I shared it earlier, so thanks for having me on.
High praise. Yeah, definitely. I saw Cleve and I were both there for your interaction with Pine Sap earlier today. I'm hesitant to call it a debate because when one person controls the mute button, it's not really a fair dialogue, even in that sense, but seems like he had no answers to what you were saying.
It was the same situation a couple of years ago when he actually called in on one of my live streams. I don't know if you've seen that exchange, but we actually got into a pretty heated topic, a heated discussion about epistemology and when exactly do you know that this or that papal teaching is binding and or infallible. And it was the exact same scenario. Like, he asked a very clear, precise question, and he's very much a filibuster, yapper. So he fill in with at least long-winded answers that just do not answer anything. So, I think it was the same situation here where, for example, in the history of Christian theology, everybody knows the term proselytizing, right? It's even in the New Testament, right? The proselytes, that's a translation of, a convert, the people who are converting to Judaism. So proselytes and proselytizing has always meant evangelism. But then he says, oh, actually, no, it doesn't mean that anymore. Now evangelism is different from proselytizing. Somehow now proselytizing is this negative thing where you trick people into converting. Of course, it's never meant that. But that was his way to get around the fact that the papacy has clearly said many times that we don't try to proselytize Protestants anymore. I mean, excuse me, Jews anymore. So I think that was an easy way for him to then shift the conversation into other topics. And people said, well, you were the one that was shifting the topic several times. Well, the reason I kept shifting the topic was because Hindsight didn't really want any issue that I brought up to be fleshed out with any detail. So I knew I was going to have a limited amount of time because of the previous exchange with him. So I was really just trying to get in the top, kill shots, or what I thought were the top kill shots in the limited amount of time I had with him.
Yeah, dude, it was funny. I was able to get that clip there. He had no idea that document even existed, where they were accepting the Skittles clergy. He even tried to cope after the fact. He was like, "Oh, they issued some kind of correction." No, dude, it wasn't a correction. It was just saying, "Well, you know what? If you walk into the seminary interview and you're like holding Fabio's hand and like kissing him on the lips, then we might not accept you then. But we're still going to take the Skittles dudes in as clergy." It was absolutely ridiculous. We should pull up that clip, Alex. That would be cool to talk about.
Like, the main point that I was making was that even if I granted that, oh, well, it's just a change of procedure to say that you can be gay and become a priest in the Italian diocese, but you have to be chaste. That's a massive change in the procedure from Pius V saying that you're liable to be handed over to the secular court for the death penalty. That's the point, not the nuances of, well, did the actual translation in the document say that there's a change or not? The change is the moral contradiction from Pius V to now.
Yeah, it's a complete 180, and they try to shift the goalpost afterwards from it's a contradiction to, oh no, now we're going to get messy in the weeds of this actual document because I never read it before, and people just send me stuff and I'm reading about it just now, but I'm going to post about it on X and say, look, Jay's a lying meanie. He's lying about me. It's ridiculous.
So he accused me of lying, and it's like, but you just said prior to that you're not familiar with either the Savile papal or the document. How do you know that I'm lying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're lying. I've never read the document, but you're a big liar. So
yeah, he tried to attack like your character and credibility at one point, and it's okay. That's nice, but why are you talking about, if that was me in your shoes, why are you talking about me? Like, I just made a very serious allegation against your church. Why are you not addressing the allegation? Like, you're so obsessed with me.
The apology debate is the exact same thing, where I kept saying, just tell me the principle by which you know that it's binding and infallible. And his response was, you're just a petty little man. You're a puny, petty. That was the argument. Okay, cool. So that's
yeah. I love that through the whole debate. He's sassing you with a nice lisp. He's like, Jay, you such a liar, Jay. Why are you lying, Jay? I've never read that document, but you's lying about me, Jay.
Just wanted to acknowledge real quick, Idol Killer in the chat. What's up, Warren? How you doing?
What's up, dude?
Glad, dude. My chat is very consistently on a trajectory, becoming the most stacked chat of all of YouTube, it seems. Got a $10 super chat from Father Tim. Says, from what I hear from my dad's seminary days, as far back as the 70s, the majority of seminarians maintained active social lives, in quotes. So active social lives is probably reference to some sort of relationship. That's what I'm gathering from that.
Yep.
And we also have $20 super chat from Journey. Thank you, Journey. Appreciate that. Orthodox lineup is absolutely stacked tonight. I have to shout out Transfigured Life. Yes, Justin was in here earlier. They're having an informal debate with Church of Christ apologist Aaron Gallagher on Sola Scriptura at 7 p.m. Eastern. I am debating Aaron Gallagher on February 19th on Apostolic Succession. So you guys stay tuned for that as well. That will be on one of his associates' channels in between Sundays. So he has actually quite a big YouTube channel. He has like 50K subscribers. So for Church of Christ, I'm very eager to talk to him. He seems like a very good faith guy. So Danny Town with 1,000 CRC. When a black queen speaks, you shut up and listen. That's right. I'm going to set aside my Romanian Pentecostal privilege and listen. Thanks for the super chats, guys. One more $10 from Nemini. What do you think of lightning breaking the halo and keys off the statue of St. Peter in Francis's old Argentina diocese the day before the release of Fiducia Supplicans? Stein and Hickborn confirmed it happened. That sounds like more of a J-oriented question.
Well, let's not forget really quick here that the document that came out under Francis, that was a huge scandal, of course, that Tim Gordon harped on very, very vehemently and rightly so. That's the document that introduced the change in regard to blessings for irregular alternative lifestyle couples, and the whole cope when that came out. And by the way, it was a change because the earlier CDF document under Ratzinger had said that those blessings are not allowable. Well, now it says, there's a new situation that has arisen where the blessings are potentially possible, although they're not sacramental marriage blessings. But it is a blessing of an, quote, irregular and homosexual couple. So the blessing was not only individuals. That was their cope at the time. They said, oh, it's only individuals. No, it's not. The document explicitly says couples. And then they would just do the same thing that Feinstadt was doing, was saying, well, but yeah, in this other place in the document, it says that it's not a marriage. Okay, but so what? All that shows is that the document is saying two things,
Right.
speaking both sides of its mouth. It doesn't mean that it's actually fixing anything or correcting the earlier misinterpretation, because it does explicitly say that irregular, quote, couples can receive the blessing, and that is a specific change.
Yeah, and we actually see this in practice in South America. There was recently a cathedral that a traditional Roman Catholic priest reported witnessing basically a marriage blessing of two Skittles women in bridal gowns. And we had a Pope Respecter come and start attacking the traditional Roman Catholic priest, saying he was a liar, and blasting him publicly, and having people say that, we're going to write your bishop for exposing this nonsense. It's absolutely absurd. They want to cover this stuff up as quickly as they can and shut people up, even their own clergy. They don't want people talking about it. It's insane. Oh, hey, I did share something real quick. Pull that up on the screens that talks about what Father Tim was talking about with the clergy Skittle stuff. So there was a documentary very recently I reported on. This was January 14th, 2026. A documentary was released that said Skittles clergy, and placed it at 80% of the clergy being Skittles. This was a Roman Catholic documentary that was pushed. Now, the goal and intent was very pro Skittles. So this was a pro Skittles documentary, but they were saying, yeah, it's everywhere. The culture is already all over the place. We're already super Skittles, dude. So it's not a big deal that 80% of us are Skittles, because this is already normalized. Now, when we're talking about the seminarians, I'm going to share this other tab real quick. This was a huge deal. This talks about the seminaries. So this was Pope Benedict claimed that, hold on. Let me see if I can. This was Pope Benedict that claimed that Skittles clubs are rampant in the U.S. seminaries. So they're all over the place. This was a previous pope, and he scheduled this for release after his passing, because he knew that this was going to be a big deal. This was going to blow up. So he said, I'll just schedule this for after I'm dead to come out and basically say, look, there's the seminaries are packed with Skittles people, dude. They have clubs going on.
Well, in fact, in 2003, when I converted to Roman Catholicism, I got to be friends with a seminarian, and he actually had to transfer multiple times to different seminaries because the seminaries and the seminary directors were all openly Skittles.
Yeah. Yeah. And then people wonder why
so
I'm like
crazy.
I'm like, dude, I don't want guys like DoorDash Thomist to be tricked into joining these institutions, becoming a seminarian, and then something happens to him, because this is the people who are going to be overseeing his education, are probably going to oversee his room and board, right?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what goes on in that type of situation. Look at guys like Iron Inquisitor, right? And he's now a seminarian trying to become a Roman Catholic priest. This is the culture they're going to be ingratiated in.
Right. Father Stephen says, in South America, they'll bless your marriage to Pachamama. What a scandal. I remember Jay talking about this too when these headlines dropped.
But what's the problem with that? Because if you look at Pachamama from a certain angle, and if you turn the lighting down a little bit, it kind of looks a little bit like Mary, and they're both women. So, like according to Lofton's logic, Pachamama is literally just another image of Mary, right?
I mean, yeah, it's all the same. It's also all the same God at the end of the day. So whether you take the Mary angle or, you know, the divinity angle, it's all just one thing. They just don't know it yet. Yeah. So thanks for that, Cleve.
Yeah, it's just it's wild, man. This has real life applications, the real life implications. If 80%, if this number is even close to accurate, if 80% is even close to accurate, there have been other documentaries and books written that estimate it about 50 to 70%. But if it is even close to those numbers, imagine what happens to people's kids. Imagine what happens to the people who entrust their family's care to these priests that have these proclivities. Doesn't that increase the probability that something horrible is going to happen? Also, I actually care about what the next generation is going to be taught, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about the appointments, all the Pope Leo appointments of pro-Skittles, heads of dicasteries, pro-Skittles, cardinals, archbishops, so on and so forth. I don't want the next generation of quote unquote Christians to be taught that this stuff is okay. And I don't want liberal propaganda shoved down their throats at a young age. Like, right. I mean, if you care about this stuff, you should be calling it out, not trying to cover it up.
Yeah. Hypostatic Beard 22 with NOK 50. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Hey, I today became a catechumen. Glory to God. Glory to God. What books for new Orthodox catechumens do you recommend? I've been an inquirer for 1 year, so I know something. You may know a few things, yeah, as an inquirer. And this is like probably the right stream for you to ask that. I'll go first, and I guess we could each give like 1 or 2 books. I would say The Faith by Clark Carlton is a good one. And if you want something a bit more theological, Religion of the Apostles by Father Stephen. Cleve?
Yeah. Yeah, and here's some another Tradcat, Taylor Marshall, sharing the 80% article as well. And he did a show on this particular subject. See, this is why I, even though I completely disagree with Roman Catholicism, I can still somewhat respect the Tradcats that at least call out the nonsense. But the guys that try to cover it up are actually absolutely despicable to me. Mike Winger said something very poignant the other day on his expose with the Bethel stuff. There's a whole bunch of
good work. Yeah, for all of Mike Winger's faults, and for all the theological things he has wrong, that was good. That those exposés and that journalism on like the sex abuse scandals and what appeared to be bona fide sex assaults within like those very charismatic groups.
People are saying Cleve ignoring the question. What question?
Today I became a catechumen. What books do you have for a new Orthodox catechumen that you recommend?
Theosis, The Purpose of Human Life. That's a good, very short book, and it goes over the basics. I was given that by a friend who was inquiring at the same time as me. He was given that book by his priest. I read it in like a day, but it is super good for the bare basics. Like if you just want a nice intro, that would be a good book to check out. It's only like $10 too. Super cheap.
Yeah. Jay, any recommendations for Orthodox catechumen?
Yeah, I would definitely do Mystical Theology by Losky, and I would do My Endorsed Byzantine Theology.
Some very light reading there. Good Godfather, $5. Thank you very much. Good Godfather GGF. Ibarra told me that Skittles stuff would make him, quote, get out. Who's going to ask him how much is enough? I can't ask. He blocked me. I can't say I'm totally surprised by that. I don't know how much more worse it can get than this. At this point, it's everything short of, we're all Skittles.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
And that for 10 years. So he likes to kind of just throw out these, I'll leave more of this.
Well, I say this every single week that I do the Roman Catholic news thing. I say to myself, nothing can get worse. Like, I'm not going to have any more shows after this. This is the most insane thing. And then week after week after week, I'm proven wrong. It's been every single week. This all started with Pope Respecter challenging me to this. He said, basically, I said, dude, I could do a weekly segment on all the scandals of Roman Catholic news and do streams on this for hours. He's like, if you could do that, you would. I'm like, bet. I guess I will then. So I did. And now I've been doing it for like what? I think this will be my 5th segment on this. And it's gotten worse and worse and worse every single time. This show coming up that I'm going to be doing at 8 has, I think, like 25 articles bookmarked. Like, just absolute train wreck of a week for Roman Catholicism. It's insane, dude.
Yeah. $4.99 from Barrel Gut. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But Cleve, his Benedict statement wasn't ex cathedra. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we don't have to pay attention to the evidence if it wasn't ex cathedra. That's like when I was talking to the Protestants about Nicaea, and I'm like, look, this presupposes the existence of bishops. This presupposes the episcopacy. This presupposes penances. This presupposes all of these things. And they're like, yeah, but those aren't dogmatic canons. What? I'm talking about the mindset of the people who wrote the freaking canons themselves. It's just such a dumb retort.
Yeah, exactly. Let's finish up real quick. What Cameron Riker was saying, because it's, again, just a bunch of
and overcome any situation that she finds herself in. And the dynamicness of the church is a strength and not a weakness. And to really hammer this home, Pope Leo, in this same quote, just a sentence later, actually in the same sentence, he says the role of the church is to preserve and interpret the deposit of faith. So the church's role is not to change or alter, but to preserve and interpret the deposit of faith. So to give you an example here, if somebody's
so I guess like political doublespeak is a feature, not a bug, is basically what he's saying here.
Well, if he,
Great.
oh, go ahead.
It also reminds me of there's a similar discussion that would happen back when I was a trad cat, and we would always go back and forth with other Roman Catholics over this issue of the living magisterium, which you do find this mentioned in quite a few older Roman Catholic manuals and whatnot. It may be even mentioned in the Vatican II documents, I don't recall. But what happens is that you get the trads who will refer, back to older councils, documents, older papal decrees and whatnot, and the trad will say, aha, you see, this is still binding. And then you'll get the more, Novus Ordo minded people who will say, well, but you have to listen to the living magisterium, which is, of course, the presently living bishops who make up the living episcopate. So it really doesn't matter what was in the past, because now the idea of the living magisterium trumps whatever the previous statements were, because they're all subject to new interpretation with every generation.
Fernando says this is like Takia, but for Roman Catholics. I think that's spot on, man. It is kind of like that. Idol Killer says it's like arguing when someone is building a house, they want an unstable, changing foundation. And this is a great thing. I think that's a good analogy.
There is a parallel between both Takia and the way that the Pharisees would interpret the law, where you can always kind of make it.
Oh, I think we lost you there for a second, Jay. You said it was a parallel between how the Pharisees interpret the law and like Takia.
How Muslims do the same thing with the hadith, right? You can just kind of make it into what you need it to be at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
What I thought was interesting was Cameron Riker just said it's not the church's job to change doctrine. Well, great, then stop doing it.
It's that simple.
Yes, well, then just stop doing it. Yeah, I mean, you keep changing your doctrine. Just stop doing it. Oh, if it's only supposed to be a development, well, then don't change your mind on the death penalty. Well, then don't change your mind on Skittles priests. Well, then don't change your mind on ABC 1, 2, 3. It's that simple. Limbo,
Mr. Fist with $10. Thank you very much. Says congrats on just cracking 9K subs, Alex. Appreciate that. Thank you guys. 100K by 2027. A man can dream, right? But this is why I'm going back to really focus on those edutainment videos. So I might have less frequent streams for a while, but those really grew the channel when I first started out. So I'm just going back to basics, and we're going to be systematically debunking Calvinism. But going back to Cameron Riker now, we can finish off this there's not much
a
left.
dynamic basketball player, it means that they have a bunch of moves they can use, and they choose which moves they're going to use based on if their defender is bigger or smaller, quicker or slower.
Oh yeah, he tries to make this analogy of like having a dynamic tradition is a good thing because it's like a dynamic basketball player. I guess he's trying to make a comparison that the Roman Catholic Church is like Kobe in a way, that he has a huge arsenal of moves that he can use, and being dynamic is just, although he has all those moves there from the get-go, he picks different moves at different times depending on the enemy. The problem is that you see that the Roman Catholic Church is not like that. It's not a good analogy because it's not like they're addressing problems with these things. They're actively legislating and giving out like active legislation, preempting problems. Right. It's not a good analogy. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Bro, you just got gifted another 20 memberships.
Phoenix Ear. Thank you, Phoenix Ear, for the 20 gifted. You are the man.
Dude, that's like 60 gifted memberships this stream alone. That's awesome, bro.
Dude, I appreciate your guys' support, honestly. Yeah. My chat's great. $5 from Cool Dude. He says, when I smell incense at services now, I have to stop myself from grinning like a goober because of the incense sniffers meme. It's your fault, Cleve. I guess, Cleve, because of you, Cool Dude is grinning constantly at the Divine Liturgy.
That's right. Let me get W incense in the chat. Everybody spam W incense. Where's my incense sniffers at? I need that. That's what I need. That's the sound effect I need. Yeah, there you go. W incense. Bass. There you go. The chat goes crazy. I love that, dude. That's freaking hilarious.
The last few weeks, I noticed, maybe it was just my algorithm, I'm not sure, but on YouTube, I noticed 5 different sort of just random small YouTubers were announcing that they had converted to Orthodoxy. Have you been seeing this trend of young guys and girls converting to Orthodoxy and making videos?
Yeah, dude, I made a post about this the other day with like 4 different screenshots of these like becoming Orthodox posts. There was one from a lady that was in Japan. She was like a Japanese Orthodox or whatever. And I posted on her YouTube page. I was like, many years. She's like, oh, Cleve, I love your show. I was like, oh, she's a fan of the show. There was a ton of people. There's way more than 5.
You are a well-known Orthodox apologist.
So they're watching Cleve to Antiquity in Japan. That's right. All of Japan will sniff incense. No, dude, I've seen over the last 2 weeks, maybe like 15 of those pop up in my feed. A ton of them. I just saw another one this morning. I mean, they're coming back to back, and I think that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm playing some pieces. I really enjoyed his video. His editing is really, really good. But yeah, I've seen like Jay said, like 5, 6, 7 videos of like younger people that are like, hey, I've been forced to come face to face with like my worldview, and it actually doesn't make any sense. You know, when I apply a little bit more scrutiny to it, it all falls apart, and I'm converting to Holy Orthodoxy, which is a great first step. I think that's when it's like, we need to have a very thorough catechumen or like a catechesis, which we do already, which is good. But, the worst case scenario would be we have a lot of converts now and then like a huge fall off later. But because, I mean, even Father Josiah's catechism, like that standard one from Patristic Nectar, I think is a year long. Like people that are not serious about this are not going to hang out for a year to do a year-long catechesis.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Micah says, Jay is a wonderful black woman. That's right. Respect to the Black Queen.
Yeah, dude, we have an interesting, so a lot of more public figures are interested in Orthodoxy now too. Jay's going to come on the show later this month, and we're going to talk to the political commentator Kangman Lee, who's interested in Orthodoxy.
Yes, so he's huge.
That's going to be a dope stream. Lots of people like that are becoming interested in Orthodoxy because they see, well, what's the alternative, right? You look at the Protestant world. It is a complete mess, dude. Like no matter where you go, it's a complete mess. Even in the more conservative evangelical circles, you have these nonstop scandals. Mike Winger's exposing all that stuff. I mean, it's just being brought to the forefront. They thought that was like some kind of safe haven. It's not at all. And then you look at Roman Catholicism and just look at the state of it. I think people were really unaware of what's going on in Rome. A lot of the dudes that are coming out of Protestantism and are like, drifting in that direction. They're not aware of all these scandals. They're not aware of what's going on a day-to-day basis. They're thinking this is like some kind of like rogue thing. It's just a big institution. So of course there's going to be no, dude, it's every single freaking day, and it's coming from the top down. So once they see that, the serious people are, drifting towards orthodoxy. So
yeah, and on that point of like political or cultural figures converting to orthodoxy, I think that's like really important moving forward. Like, I think I saw a good Godfather on X saying that he was going to try to make like more orthodox oriented music and stuff. It's like we can't have like too much of a unidimensional way, I think, in our approach to culture. Like, obviously the intellectual scaffolding is like very, very important. And then actually getting people into church is very important, that experiential part. But, having orthodox songs, orthodox music, just having it permeate the culture in like that organic way, I think is very, very important.
mm-hmm.
Bubba Brandy in Christ, $6.99. Thank you very much. I think Jay needs to stream on Twitch tonight so he can be featured on the Black Excellence front page. I think that would be an excellent idea. And that way he can finally get the recognition that he's been deprived of wrongfully for so long. Compendium for $5. Thank you. Reader Paul essentially put his channel, bottom of the rabbit hole, on permanent hiatus as he's heading to seminary. He said it will still remain up. I think that's a very diligent move on his part, because it's hard to chase two rabbits at the same time, to maintain a YouTube channel and also to do seminary. And I think he has a family as well. So that said, he has some great videos out there, like especially his epistemology video, I think was very good, summarizing a lot of the arguments that have been out there, but in a way for that people can understand. Father Stevens says, we need to bring America to orthodoxy. America starts coming to orthodoxy. Who are all these people? Where are they coming from? Are they here to destroy us? Yeah, that's true. We can't deviate towards that attitude as well, where we get like overly paranoid.
Well, pull that up real quick, because I think that's super, 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 super important. One of the things that I've always thought about is, well, sometimes you'll have these people that will say, I wasn't going to talk about this particular subject, but I will in a moment. You'll have people that'll say, oh, well, you have these like super hyper conservative people coming into the Orthodox Church, and they have all of these ideas that I disagree with. Therefore, I don't want them to come to the Orthodox Church. If that is your mindset, right? Well, aren't you there to shepherd them? Aren't you there to pastor them? Aren't you there to kind of guide them in the direction that they should go? So if they're being brought through the door, then ultimately the ball's in your court at that point, right? To teach them the right way. If they have a zealous nature, not according to knowledge, well, then that's where you can kind of say like, hey, look, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but maybe try not to read the Philokalia your first day. Maybe try not to, go on and tell grandma she's a heretic at that lunch or dinner. Like maybe guide them. Because I think what people are realizing, because you sometimes, I mean, I get it, being somebody that was, a Protestant pastor and having to help people that are very broken. I think sometimes people that are more, this is just speculation, but I think sometimes people that are like, maybe they're situated in a more like ethnic parish or something, or maybe they haven't or maybe it's not an ethnic parish and they just haven't seen the mass wave of converts yet. They're starting to see this. You have a wave of just broken people, just completely broken people that have been westernized, that have been lied to in Protestantism, that have been lied to in maybe a liberal mainline denomination, or that have been lied to by Rome, and they've just seen all of this scandal, and they've been broken, and they're fighting with vice, and they're fighting with the passions, and a ton of these people are flooding into your church, and they all say, well, we're coming here because we heard about orthodoxy online. We're coming here because we heard Alex Soren talking about this. We're coming here because we heard Jay Dyer talk about this. We're coming here because of ABC 123. And then they say, oh, so it's got to be the internet's fault that all of these broken people are coming into the church. These people are really broken. They must be broken because of the internet. Well, regardless, if they're broken, they're coming to your church. They need healing. So pour into them. I mean, that would be what I would think should be the mindset.
Yes. It looks like Jay dropped out. Thank you for calling in, Jay. Appreciate it. Always very knowledgeable takes from Jay. So thank you for the call in. Kebab the Great for $5. Thank you very much. Says, I just joined the choir at my local parish. What is each of your favorite hymn? I would have to say the Beatitudes. Let's keep it keep it simple. It never gets old.
The hymn of the cherubim. That's a really cool hymn.
Yes. Cool.
Let me clarify one thing. I'm not
Yes.
belittling ethnic parishes at all. I'm just saying maybe they're not used to all of these crazy Americans flooding into their churches, and it's a bit of an adjustment. That's all I'm saying. Because I've talked to priests at very ethnic parishes that have been super awesome and love what's going on, and they want to see more of it, and are, you know, super supportive and things like this. I've spoken to Cradle Orthodox who have given me wisdom that I would have never heard anywhere else. So I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just pointing out that if these people are flooding into your churches, well, then the ball's in your court now. This is the gift that God has given you to shepherd these young men. If you feel like they're wrong where they're coming from, we'll shepherd them in the right direction. Pour into them. This is the next generation.
4D Bible says, I've been a part of multiple evangelical / Protestant churches, Hillsong included. Scandals like you'd never believe. Yeah. I don't want to put too much emphasis on that, because like every single group of people has, you know, their own problems and their own scandals. But, you know, when certain religious groups try to play the holier than thou card, I mean, it's important to know that like they're not coming to the table with clean hands. In fact, they have unclean hands. Unless you're a babushka, they have the cleanest hands.
That's right.
So as we can finish up this this video here, he had the basketball analogy, and then it looks like he has some examples of online
of the church is an example of this. The church's emphasis on sexual ethics in the past 150 years is an example of this. Because the world has become so depraved with sexual ethics, the church, in her dynamic teaching, in her dynamic morality, in her very quick to respond energy that she has, which is a strength and not a weakness of the church, has done things like Humanae Vitae by Paul VI, has done things like the Theology of the Body, the Wednesday Catechesis by Pope St. John Paul II. The church is dynamic in her teaching, but not in a way that changes the teaching, but rather the application of the teaching is changed to apply to the modern era. So once again, nothing but love for Ben. I think he's a smart guy. And if he's watching this, I think that he can see my point. I think he can see how that word dynamic is being used in such a way where it doesn't imply a complete overturning of previous doctrines and an instilling of new doctrines. No, that's not the word dynamic is being used. What he may quibble with is that the word dynamic is an imprudent choice here based on what the Pope is talking about and the possibility for confusion. And if that's the argument you want to make, fine, we can have an honest discussion about a prudential matter. However, to say that the Pope just taught that dogma can change, that official church teaching can change, that infallibly declared papal statements can change, that's nonsensical. That doesn't even make sense. That would be like implying.
Oh, it's done. It's done anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, we've already kind of broken this down to the end of it. But basically, yeah, we've shown several different examples of where doctrine has changed, where the teaching has changed. He's trying to break it down into different categories and say, oh, well, doctrines can change, not the dogmas. Well, that's not what Pope Leo said. Pope Leo said everything. He said the entirety of the faith, all of it, morals, doctrine, all of these things can change. Every single piece of it is dynamic, right? He said not set in stone, dynamic. Okay. So yeah, that implies change. And we've seen this time and time again. It's not a development. It is a complete 180 on the teaching. Father Stephen DeYoung had a good comment. He said, he's talking about scandals. It's not whether you have scandals, it's how the scandals are dealt with. That is so true, because the entire point of even covering this stuff in the news coverage is so that it gets dealt with. When these Roman Catholics get upset at the news coverage about all this stuff their first response is to cover it up. And then what they'll do is they'll respond with some kind of red herring, and they'll post an article from 2016 about some scandalous priest that was defrocked and punished. Oh, great. So the church defrocked the guy and punished him. Oh, so he was deposed. Oh, so he was arrested. Oh, so this happened. Oh, so the church actually did what it was supposed to do. Well, great. That's what I want to have happen in the Roman Catholic Church too. I would rejoice if these PDF file priests went to prison. I would rejoice if the Roman Catholic Church changed its teaching and stopped admitting so many Skittles seminarians. I would rejoice if the number of Skittles clergy in the Roman Catholic Church would not be 80%, would not be 50%, would not even be 10%. I would be so happy. You know why? Because that means that Roman Catholic kids are safe. That means that families are not having to worry about sending their kids to a Sunday school, whether or not they're going to be abused. so that people aren't just being completely gaslit and waste years of their life in this cult, which is basically what it is at this point. It's a cult. And then thinking that they're having the truth and uprooting your entire family from Protestantism, sometimes sacrificing your entire career to go and waste years of your life in a false schismatic institution that's full of abuse that never gets handled. And they move it around. They move it around to the point where you have issues like you had in the Diocese of San Francisco. There were over 1,000 cases of abuse that were uncovered all at once because they kept moving the freaking priests around.
Yeah.
They kept hiding it. They were like, we can't talk about this. We're going to move this guy to the Vatican. We're going to move him over here. There was a case where Michael Lofton's diocese, they had a priest that was found guilty by a civil court of literally torturing cats, taking cats and drowning them in a cage.
I remember, I think you were covering that one in your Catholic news segment. That's an extremely disturbing, extremely disturbing story.
And they were trying to the bishop was trying to take this guy and put him back into public ministry in Michael Lofton's diocese. Imagine that guy is the pastor over your church. He's the priest over your church, and he's got access to your family. He's got access to your kids. If he's doing that to animals, what do you think is going on aside from that? Dude, I don't look, online polemic stuff aside, I actually care about people, dude. You know, I don't want people to suffer. I don't want people to have to go through this. So if I talk about these news segments, it's so that you're aware of it. If it's not your thing, you don't care about the news, you want to stick your head in the sand, that's fine. But for the Catholic families, the Roman Catholic families that actually care about this stuff, they need to be educated. They need to know that, you know, maybe you shouldn't trust these people with your kids on a Sunday school thing away from where you guys can watch.
Yeah, that reminds me of what Mike Winger was talking about with like the charismatic scandals, and they have this like cover-up culture. And I think like the originator of that seems to be like the Roman Catholic Church, going back like from what we know, like decades and decades and decades and decades.
Yeah. Well, the stuff that I am going to uncover on the 8 p.m. Catholic News segment is going to be mind-blowing. The Epstein files actually reveal a lot more than what people are bargaining for. A lot of this stuff that I've been reporting over the last 4 weeks in each of these segments all ties to what this file release shows. As far as these NGOs, all of the same NGOs that I've already been speaking about have ties to what I'm about to discuss at 8 p.m. And this actually involves what we were just talking about, the safety of these children, and it needs to be exposed. And as soon as I report on it, I know the Roman Catholics are going to run cover. They're going to say it's all fake. They're going to say that none of this matters. They're going to move the goalpost and say that, oh, no, actually, it's this. It's not the actual church. It's just the NGO. It's just ABC 123. It's all smoke and mirrors, dude. What's happening is happening. It is associated with the Roman Catholic Church. The clergy are complicit. The hierarchy is complicit. The appointments that they're making are all gearing towards one thing. That's the acceptance of skittle stuff within the church. Don't trust your freaking families with this institution. The trads are safe for the time being in the SSPX. There is going to be a time very soon when that's not even going to be an option for them, because they're getting pushed out, dude. And I'll talk about that more. I don't want to rant too long about it, but there is one thing that I want to discuss on the Cameron Riker thing. Go ahead and share the screen. So he was talking about doctrines can't change, dogmas or doctrines can change, but he's not talking about dogmas, which he is. He says all of it. But let's look at what condemned heresy according to Pope Pius. Let's look at what this condemned heresy.
I think the syllabus of errors. I think it would have been the 9th, not the 10th. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Christ did not teach a determined body of doctrine applicable to all times and all men, but rather inaugurated a religious movement adapted to be adapted to different times and places. So saying basically what Cameron Riker just defended. Hey, guess what? That's condemned heresy according to the syllabus of errors.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, this would be Pope Pius X. That was my mistake. But
yeah, but either way, you get the point. So this would actually be condemned heresy. So what Cameron Riker's apologetics saying, well, actually it just kind of adjusts to the times. This is a development. We're developing doctrine. We're not completely changing it. Christ just handed us these like little bits and pieces of information and we develop them over time and we adjust to the modern understanding of things, hey, that's condemned heresy. Did you know that? According to your own church? Like,
right. And like some people might say, like, oh, the syllabus of errors is not in and of itself a binding document. Well, it's quoting to a bunch of binding documents. So like all the stuff in the syllabus of errors, that is binding.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5 from Alter Void. Thank you very much. Why was that guy keep calling the church she? I never heard someone do that. The church generally is referred to with like feminine pronouns as the bride of Christ.
Here, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. We have from Nikolai Korea 2016. I think this is in response to his favorite hymn. He says, anathema. That clip from the Russian diocese is great. Father Tim, $20. Thank you very much, Father Tim. Appreciate that. Dude, I've been slacking on the Eagle. Thank you for the super chats, guys. He says, I pastor a rather ethnic parish, but I'm proud of how welcoming they have been of the small but steady stream of new faces. My strategy has been to pair up our converts with cradle godparents. Seems to have worked so far. That's what kind of has been happening at our parish too. Mine is also rather ethnic. But even though I grew up in a Romanian culture, you know, I still don't know that much about Orthodoxies. I grew up Romanian Pentecostal. So yeah, the sponsors, the godparents have been very cradle that, you know, although a lot of the converts have like the zeal for the intellectual side, you need somebody that has like lived an Orthodox life, right? $5 from Mr. Fist. Thank you very much. Ben's doing more to protect Catholic children than the Vatican at this point. And that's, I think, a pretty good observation. And then we have $5. Making a cat murderer your children's priest is a guaranteed way to make them atheists. It's diabolical. I agree. I mean, that's clearly, when you mentioned that, like the first thing that crossed my mind was, this is the behavior of somebody who is demonized. Like, this is how a demoniac acts. This is not how a normal person acts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that story broke my heart, to be honest. And Michael Lofton had every right to be upset by that. But you know how that actually changed? You know, because he ended up not taking the appointment. The priest, he didn't take the appointment. You know why? Because lay people were calling him out and they protested. And Michael Lofton made a video and a bunch of other people made videos and they made a big stink. And then he realized he wasn't safe to accept that position in that diocese. So calling this stuff out actually does enact change, especially on a local level. So Roman Catholics, if you see that happening, if you see these freaking psycho appointments, don't be quiet just to win internet points. It's absurd. You are complicit in the abuse of the people in your parish if you are quiet about this stuff.
Yeah, and you're destroying your own credibility. I think from a Roman Catholic perspective, if you're just going to deny it and not acknowledge it, it just shows that like maybe you're somebody that we shouldn't listen to. You know, if you're not going to acknowledge the obvious. Correct. There was also this story that we already talked about a little bit that I wanted to share briefly here. The Vatican approves document allowing gay men, Skittles men, to become priests in Italy. A new document by the Italian Bishops' Conference states that being openly Skittles no longer bars candidates from discerning the priesthood. So being openly Skittles will not bar you from discerning the priesthood. So at your interview, you can say, yep, I am Skittles. And, you know, although I'm not practicing the lifestyle, I am Skittles. And then like, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, what was funny was the people that were coping about this, this same bishop, I guess, made a correction or whatever. Not really a correction, but a clarification. And he said, oh, well, you know, we are allowing Skittles people to be clergy, but just not if they're openly like flamboyant or in like a Skittles relationship. And then the Roman Catholics were like, see, look, this debunks it. This debunks the whole thing. No, dude, you guys are sophists, man. You should play the Pine Sap clip, the 1 minute clip I sent you.
Here.
Should be in DMs. Because I noticed Pine Sap was talking a bunch of smack about, Jay. He was talking smack about Orthodox. And I was like, dude, he's talking smack about you on X-Face right now. So Jay calls in and just bodies Pine Sap. It's just just absolutely bodies him. That was such a funny clip because he had no idea about this. He's like, you're a liar, Jay. You're lying. This doesn't exist.
Yeah, it totally caught him off guard.
That's hilarious. Do you need me to send that to you again, or okay,
I have it. Yeah, here it is.
The fifth says that gay priests
Hold on, I think.
Yeah, super quiet.
are to be put. The fifth says that gay priests are to be put to death, and the Vatican bishops in Italy just said that gay priests can be openly gay people can become priests. Is that a contradiction?
I mean, like, obviously, yes, this is a contradiction. Like, I don't know why they don't just bite the bullet on these things, and they're like, and I mean, if I was trying to defend this indefensible position, I would just be like, well, you just all the reasons why it would be fine, right? Like, well, they're not actually practicing homosexuals, right? Like, there are checks and balances. There are bishops that are out there to make sure that this doesn't happen or something. But what does this guy do? He does not decide to go down that reasonable route. He just says, he just crashes out and watch what happens next. Like, this is a perfectly reasonable argument from Jay, right? And what's the response here?
Actually, Pope Francis said that gay priests should not enter the.
The first thing is, actually, it's Pope Francis is not the Pope anymore, dude. First of all, and second of all, what does that have to do with what Jay is saying here?
Right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Clergy. This headline clipping belongs to TMZ, bro. This belongs to TMZ. Are you kidding me?
Italian bishops.
I'm not going to believe anything you say, Jay. You do this all the time, bro.
Dude, that editing is great. Whoa. But it's the approach is just, I'm going to plug my ears. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. And I'm just going to keep on dogmatically slamming the table here.
Yeah. Jay, this is what you do all the time, Jay. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say, Jay. You're lying. They're not letting Skittles people in the clergy, Jay.
Why do they always say his name 200 times too?
Jay, a fancy lip. Jay, they are not. They are not, Jay.
The claps are just
So what you say, what you go is you say, oh, okay, these gay bishops are allowed, or these gay priests are allowed. The Italian Bishops Conference.
Dude, this is actually kind of heartbreaking. I remember when I came across this headline here, I was like, LGBTQ Catholics have Jubilee with Pope's blessing, but not his presence.
Yeah, make that full screen so they can see it. Click the screen. There you go.
Yeah, this article I think was pretty sad because I covered this. I didn't cover it, but I mentioned it as well in my video against Catholicism, where I was trying to send out an olive branch, and I was like, look, I get it. It's hard to be a trad cat right now, but they're just doubling and tripling down on this stuff. It's shocking to me,
dude. Well, the goalpost for when enough is enough continues to be shifted time and time and time again in real time, sometimes within days. On this exact topic, I made a post on X. I said, Roman Catholics, if the Pope would approve giving openly Skittles people the Eucharist, would you leave the Roman Catholic Church? And people they spammed the comments. This was before this happened, by the way, because I knew this was coming up, because I knew who he was going to have over this mass. I had been reporting on it, right? I actually follow this stuff. So I'm like, Roman Catholics, if this happens, if they allow, if he sends a bishop to give unrepentant Skittles people the Eucharist, will you leave the Roman Catholic Church? Almost every single one of them said, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. What does Pope Leo do the day of the Jubilee? He sends a freaking bishop to go give all these Skittles people the Eucharist.
Yes.
He goes and the bishop literally says, I am for giving these people the Eucharist. He says, I support giving unrepentant Skittles people the Eucharist. It doesn't matter if you're in a state of willful sin. It doesn't matter if you're in a state of mortal sin, according to Roman Catholic theology. It's fine. Just go ahead and take it. It's no big deal. So when that happened, I posted that. I said, okay, who's leaving? Crickets. They don't freaking care, dude.
No, they don't. I forgot to acknowledge I got 20 gifted from Phoenix here again. Thank you very much. The cleave variation on that.
Nice.
And also, round of applause. Thank you very much, Phoenix here. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is heartbreaking if you're a trad cat. But let's finish off here and see what else Pine Sap had to say in response to this very seemingly on its face contradiction.
Gay priests are allowed. The Italian Bishops Conference. Dude, okay, let me say for a moment. Let me say you're not lying. Let me grant for a moment that you're not lying, which you most certainly are.
Which is let me grant that, but he's not familiar with with this fact.
Yes.
He's learning this for the first time.
Correct. Yeah.
Yet he's going to presume Jay is lying, which is like,
he's never
why?
read the document, but you're a liar, Jay. You're evil. You're clipping headlines. I've never read it, but I'm going to say you're clipping headlines. Well, guess what? You just gave yourself away, dude. You don't care what the truth is. You're going to find a way to spin it. That's all it is. You
But
don't care what the truth is.
He had a billion other paths that he could have taken that, like, I'm just thinking about here. He could be like, yeah, there are problems in the church. Every church has a problem, and he could just hand wave it away. That's one option. But no, he's just going to like die on this hill of like just pounding the table. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, Pine Sap, though, he kind of, I mean, Lord have mercy on him. Pray for Pine Sap, but he is kind of known to be a bit of a bad faith person interacting with people. I remember when he had a debate with Luigi and he lost horrifically against Orthodox Luigi. You know what Pine Sap did?
what?
He had Groypers,
I don't know.
he had Groypers go and dox Luigi and send Luigi AI edited videos of his wife being, so that's the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy Pine Sap is.
Why do Roman Catholics give these people like the time of day? I feel like if any one of us did anything like that, like me or Ben Luigi or Jay or one of us did something like that, they would be disowned like almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, they don't care, dude. I mean, I feel like at this point, it's just anything to protect the cult. Any evil that we do to protect the cult is justified. Any lie we have to tell the cult. Right. Yeah, exactly. It's all justified. It doesn't matter if
it's the same God after all.
Correct. It doesn't matter if the Epstein files say literally right there that freaking Epstein was living with John Paul II. It's a lie. I don't even need to read any further. It's a lie. I'm going to make 20 posts saying it's a lie. I'm going to get everybody to go and mass report these posts and have community notes added. It's a lie, right? Well, it's because you don't care, dude. All you care about is protecting your cult. And if that's at the cost of the safety of people's families, so be it.
Yeah.
It's a small price to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
According to them.
Even if I was to grant,
oh, Jay calls it out. How was I most certainly lying if you don't know anything about this topic? You're unfamiliar with the headline. You don't know about the Italian bishops conference at all.
If I was to grant that a bishops conference said something cringe, how does that disprove the church?
Yeah, just totally ignoring that. Like Leo approved it. It says right here, like at the top of the article, like in the first few sentences. I can zoom in on that. Yeah. A provisional document published by the Italian Bishops' Conference on Friday and approved by the Vatican. Who runs the Vatican?
Yeah.
The Pope runs the Vatican. Approved by the Vatican cautiously opens the door for the ordination of openly gay men to the priesthood while maintaining the normal requirement of chastity. That's a good point. That like, okay, well, they're not practicing homosexuals. Well, none of the priests are supposed to engage in any sex, UAL activity anyway, right?
Right.
In the formative process, when referring to homosexual tendencies, it's also appropriate not to reduce discernment only to this aspect, but as for every candidate, to grasp its meaning in the global framework of the young person's personality, the document reads, adding that the goal is for the candidate to know himself and find harmony between his human and priestly vocation. I think this is like when Jay talks about like his critiques of Jordan Peterson and this like very Jungian view of, well, you need to integrate the shadow into yourself and like own this like the darkness within you or something. That's totally contrary to what Christianity teaches. First of all, it's, I get like Jay was saying that like that Jungian worldview is just a weird form of Gnosticism, but you can kind of see echoes of that in this kind of wording right here, where it says that the goal is for the candidate to know himself and find harmony between his human and priestly vocation. That sounds Gnostic and Jungian to me. It sounds like that integrating the shadow into yourself type of theology that Jordan Peterson teaches.
Yeah, I mean, we're only going to see more and more stuff like this. And the response from Pine Sap after this, the big crash out on social media after the debate, or call-in, I guess. You can't even really call it a debate, but was basically like, oh, look, they said they need to be celibate, so Jay's lying. No, dude, the article that he shared literally says the requirement is to be celibate still. You just can't be too obvious that you're Skittles. That's it.
Yeah.
But you can still be ordained. That's a huge departure from, hey, guess what? You guys deserve to be, share the screen real quick, because this was the original statement that started the firestorm, because I reported on this when this broke, actually.
Yes, James Martin.
So James Martin says, news in a newly released document approved by the Vatican, the Italian Bishops' Conference set out guidelines for seminary formation, including the question of whether Skittles men can be admitted into seminaries and therefore ordained as priests. It says that those with quote-unquote deep-seated Skittles tendencies, those who cannot live chastely, and those who support the so-called Skittles culture cannot be admitted. This has always been the case, and deep-seated tendencies has been interpreted, this is the key point, interpreted in different ways by bishops and seminary rectors. So how obvious it has to be is very different. Right. I mean, the case in point right here, James Martin. But then it says something new. My translation, in the training process, when reference is made to Skittles tendency, it's always appropriate not to reduce discernment only to this aspect. Whoa. Okay. So the document's saying we're not reducing discernment only to this aspect. We're going to consider everything else. And if that outweighs the one piece, guess what? Then we'll move forward. But as for every candidate, to grasp its meaning in the overall picture of the young person's personality, so that by getting to know each other and integrating the objectives inherent to the human and presbyterial vocation reaches general harmony. This is the first time I've seen in a Vatican-approved document the suggestion that discernment about whether a Skittles man may enter the seminary cannot simply be determined by his Skittles orientation. My reading of this, and it's only my reading, is that if a Skittles man is able to lead a healthy, chaste, and celibate life, he can be considered for admission to the seminary. So as I see this is something of a step forward. James Martin is saying this is a change. This is a change. This is not the case before. Now we're saying, look, it's okay if you're Skittles, just so long as you're not currently practicing it, you should be fine. And we're going to allow you in, so on and so forth. One thing that's not mentioned in this discussion at all is that there are currently openly Skittles priests right now in the Roman Catholic Church.
That's my impression, is like this whole thing is just a charade anyway, because if those statistics are true that it's like 80% of the clergy are homosexual, then like this is all just for show. This is all just theatrics at the end of the day. They're already there to where the clergy is, overwhelmingly Skittles. They're just trying to push the formal boundaries now, but it's already this way. It's already depraved.
Yep, absolutely. And if I go to that article that I shared earlier about, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, there's an article that I shared earlier with the 80%, because that is key. The guy who that statistic comes from, I don't even need to share, I'll just say it. The guy who that statistic comes from is an openly Skittles Roman Catholic priest.
So he has every motivation to cover it up.
Correct. It's an openly Skittles Roman Catholic priest. But look, in the document, it's saying, if you are practicing, you can't be or whatever. Pine Sap shifts the goalpost and he says, oh, but if you're celibate, that means you're not actually Skittles.
Father Stephen says, have you been struggling with homosexual tendencies? No problem. Come bunk with a bunch of other dudes for a few years.
Good grief, dude. Let me see if I want to find his response real quick. Oh, here you go. Yeah, hold on. Oh, I think he responded to my post, actually.
Little Fish says Skittles are very prideful, so they don't want to cover up. They want to celebrate. I mean, there's a reason why they have appropriated the sin of pride for themselves. I think you're onto something there.
Yep. Here, let me share my screen real quick. So go ahead and pull that up whenever. All right. So he responds to this post here, because I posted a clip about Jay and Pine Sap debating. By the way, Feels Guy is Pine Sap. He changed his name on X. I think he changed his name after the Jubilee crash out, where he got fired from his job for saying, yeah, I'm a fascist on Jubilee. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
Yeah. So he was on Jubilee and he was debating that one Muslim liberal guy. I don't remember his name.
Okay.
But anyway, he was on there and he was like, so you're a fascist? And Pine Sap's like, yeah, I'm a fascist. And then everyone's like, oh, look, he's evil, or whatever. Anyway, so I post this. He says, tell the full story, little man. Vatican did not repost, and he accuses Jay of farming titles of the news articles. He just posted
this is dated 2025.
Yeah, exactly. Vatican did not release Skittles priests understand the Italian CNBB document. So I respond, because he did it in multiple different places. So I respond by long debunked, you mean, to his initial comment. He says, Jay referenced a nothing burger from last year. We long debunked, hence why he crops out the headline date in his post. Focus on the hairline instead of lying through your teeth. Oh no, he got me.
Oh, yeah, this article is from 2025 as well, but it's dated January 13th, which still predates whatever he is looking at right now.
Correct. But anyway, by long debunked, you mean a clarification. So the initial statement by the actual bishops is before January 10th, just to be clear on timeline. So the initial statement by the bishops is before January 10th. The January 10th thing is a clarification after massive pushback. Okay. But what the clarification states is what we just said. It just says the same thing. By long debunked, you mean a clarification after the fact that says they won't be allowing flamboyant, obviously practicing Skittles people in, but defend their statement regarding allowing Skittles people in general to become priests. Too long didn't read. Yeah, we're letting him in, but not like if they're super obvious about it. And this is the statement from the correction. This is what he's saying. Debunks Jay's statement. While profoundly respecting the persons in question, cannot admit to the seminary or holy orders those who are actively practicing Skittles, present deep-seated Skittles tendencies, which James Martin just talked about, or support the so-called Skittles culture. Such persons, in fact, find themselves in a situation that gravely hinders them from relating correctly to men and women. Guess what? That's exactly what James Martin just freaking said. And he said still allowing these people in is a big change. He concedes all of that and says it's a huge change anyway. This is moving in the right direction. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's also to the point that, like, again, Roman Catholic online apologetics and what their leaders in the Vatican are saying, like, they are saying two different things. They are so disconnected from one another. It's like unreal. It's really shocking to me how, like, their scholars, their academics, their leaders in the Vatican say one thing. When you go to Roman Catholic apologetics, like especially the online apologetics, they are saying, like, it's a night and day difference between what they're saying. It's totally different.
Well, you know what's funny? That DoorDash Thomist guy came in to the chat, and I remember a video that he posted. I brought up the same point to him because he said something like, let me see if I can find it because this is going to make you laugh. I'm going to find his post real quick. DoorDash Thomist. Keep in mind, this is like a teenage apologist guy that wants to be a seminarian. So pray that he doesn't end up doing that because, like I said, I don't want that to happen to him. Okay, here you go.
Cleve, don't you know the Thomistic metaphysics terminology and the Aristotelian term for,
exactly,
metaphysical structures of Christianity and Thomism?
Here you go. All right, you ready? So share it. All right, read that title right here.
The Blessed Virgin.
The Blessed Virgin as co-redemptrix is, and originally the title was "Is Catholic Dogma." Now he says "Is still Catholic Dogma." I don't know if you remember, there was that statement recently where they said you can't use this term anymore.
Yeah,
it's just completely.
that was the essence of it. It was like something like, we need to be more diligent in how we use this term. It might not be the best term to use, and so, but that was basically the essence of it. Was like, don't say this anymore.
Oh my goodness, dude. This is the people that we're arguing with. Like that's what I'm saying. The guys in Wagner's orbit, Kevin since 33 AD, DoorDash Thomist, and sometimes Wagner himself. Though Wagner's a little more nuanced. He still made statements like this, and he was very upset by the document that said that we can't call, or that Roman Catholics can't call her co-redemptrix or co-mediatrix anymore. But guys like this, they overstate stuff and they present as if they are the authority of their church. And they try to go through, like you said earlier, these older teachings. The Roman Catholic Church no longer holds to this. Don't you know it's dynamic? It's completely dynamic. You find in this video, he goes through statements by different popes, so on and so forth, encyclicals by popes that say that this is dogma, that say that this cannot be changed, that say that this is her title, that say ABC 1, 2, 3. These are the older statements by popes. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. It's completely dynamic. So we're talking about dogma can't change. Here's one big glaring freaking example here. Co-redemptrix as dogma. You just refuted yourself, DoorDash Thomas. I'm just
Yeah. Exactly. Got 2-month membership from Austin Tom. Thank you for the 2 months, Austin. Great show today. Thank you very much. I think this stuff is important to cover, and Cleve is like very up to date on what's going on. So it's good to have, somebody knowledgeable here to talk about the current state of Roman Catholicism, because it really is like sad. Like they do have my sympathies for sure. We got a $2 super chat from Emilia. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was an interesting subject because that's literally what we're talking about today. We're talking about the, these statements by the previous popes, so on and so forth, say that this is something that you must believe. It's in complete isolation from what the modern Roman Catholic Church teaches. Yeah. They literally say the exact opposit, but they'll still bury their heads in the sand and say, oh no, this is actually.
Yeah, this is a point that when I was studying up on Vatican I, like, Father John O'Malley is like the Roman Catholic scholar who's like really his work influenced my position on that a lot. And one of the points that he was making was that after Vatican I, there really aren't any more teachers in the Roman Catholic Church anymore. It's like there's one teacher, the Pope, and everybody else is just a commentator on that teacher. And that's kind of the shift that happened after, the remaking of the Roman Catholic Church into the ultramontane church, which it just goes to show that, like, again, there's a huge disconnect between Roman Catholic scholars and these apologists online, where like they will all say, yes, the Roman Catholic Church has changed. It has changed many times. It is changing. It's gone through many reformations, the Gregorian reforms, the Counter Reformation, the ultramontane Reformation with Vatican I. But it's just nobody acknowledges this. They're just like you said, Cleve, they're stuck in this like manualist tradition, and they're like not up to date on what like the latest expansion pack for the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's a continual cope fest. So see what he's saying in the chat. Cleve won't answer my video though. Cardinal Fernandez literally said the title is fine. It's just not used in the liturgy. So share what Father. It's still true. You're just not allowed to say so. There's the
not allowed to say it.
There's the cope, dude. It's still true. It's still totally dogma, and you totally have to believe this. But you just can't say it anymore. It's a secret. It's a secret. You can't. It's a secret dogma.
It's a secret dogma.
Secret dogma of the Roman Catholic Church is still totally dogmatic though.
It's just not allowed to say it.
Good grief. And you know what's funny? The same dude will probably make some kind of video, be like, Claves to Antiquity doesn't understand position of Roman Catholic Church. Only me, 18-year-old potential seminarian, knows, whatever. Dude, come on.
Well, but then you ask them to explain it and they can't. So then they don't really understand it either.
Yeah, they'll just go back. They go back to like statements from popes from like 1,000 years ago, 800 years ago, so on and so forth. And they'll just say, look, this is why I'm actually correct. And then the next day, the modern pope will come out and say, actually, you're all freaking wrong. Stop, And they don't care. They still go back and cope. And they'll say, no, my position was correct. It's so funny, dude.
You just don't understand it, right? But if you can't explain it, you don't understand it either. Right?
Exactly.
So, guys, Cleve has his stream at 8. So if you guys stick around here, this stream should send you right to Cleve's stream. At 8, covering more of this stuff, in particular, what we have gleaned from the latest Epstein files dump, as Jay says, Jeffrey McEpstein document dump.
Yeah, there will be a lot more that I discuss in that stream too. That's only one small segment, but this ties into Ukraine. I'm also going to cover more appointments. I mean, the appointments lately have been horrible by the Vatican. It's all people with pro-Skittles agenda. There's going to be some even worse appointments coming up here soon. I'll be covering that. I'll be covering some statements by Leo himself, statements by the bishops, and there's a lot of anti-ICE stuff going on. And this is all tied directly to Roman Catholic NGO funding. Why they don't want this stuff to change. So, I mean, they make their money one way. I'll explain this all in the stream at 8, but I've got a ton of different articles to dive into. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I guess for a final topic we can discuss is here David Erhan shared this today, and I'm sure you're on top of this too, obviously. He said, SSPX are slowly returning to the autocephaly tradition. Sharing this post here, it says, SSPX announces that July 1st, 2026, they will consecrate new bishops without Vatican approval, which will be an official act of schism. after having made a request of Pope Leo XIV in August, and whose answer was not to their liking. And then this is the communique basically saying what this summation up here says, that they're going to be consecrating their own bishops. And for me, that's pretty incredible. I mean, they might as well join us at this point.
Well, you know, that's how they started, though. So Archbishop Lefebvre, after, I believe it was after Vatican II, he petitioned them to allow him to consecrate new bishops. They kind of dragged their feet. They wanted to wait till he passed away, and they didn't. He saw where this was going. He knew that they were just dragging their feet to wait until he died, so they wouldn't have to address it. Because basically what Vatican II was attempting to do was move to this new kind of new wave liturgical style where it's more like the Protestants. So anyway, he starts this organization, consecrates some bishops. There were 4 at the time. Now 2 have passed away. So they have 2 left and they're getting old. So the SSPX is telling Leo, look, give us the approval to freaking ordain some bishops, or like, you know, basically we're just going to do it ourselves, because you guys are already pushing the TLM out to the fringes, and we're the only ones kind of keeping this tradition alive. So all of the trad cats, they're going to SSPX parishes, or they're going to, you know, these kind of one-off other traditional Latin Mass parishes, but mostly it's the SSPX. That's why you have a lot of the trads really upset right now, because they're like, dude, look, we just don't want to go to the freaking Novus Ordo. We don't want to go to the clown mass.
Please have mercy on us. Please don't make us go to the Novus Ordo, please.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, dude, we just don't want to go to this stupid clown mass Novus Ordo. Let us have our traditional Latin Mass. Leo, just give them some, like, allow them to you know, ordain some bishops, allow them to continue on, and we'll kind of do our own thing. It's okay. You can, like, you know, make us like the ordinariate or something and like give us our own little thing. That's no big deal. Just let us keep going. And Leo's like, no, dude, we're going to crush the freaking trads. I'm not doing any of that. Leo hates the trads. For this recent consistory meeting, for this recent consistory meeting, he gave all of the cardinals homework. And the homework for the cardinals was studying a encyclical that Pope Francis had wrote. And basically what the encyclical said was, traditional Catholics are like the Pharisees. I freaking hate them. I want them to be gone. We're going to crush them. That's basically what it was. He called traditional Roman Catholics Pharisees. This was the homework for the cardinals to read at the consistory meeting. So Leo is not amenable to the SSPX. He is not amenable to traditional Roman Catholicism. So if you're going to be a Roman Catholic, you only have a couple of options. Either you're going to attend the freaking clown show Novus Ordo, where I did a stream on this last week, where we were going over what the normal Novus Ordo mass is like, what the normal parish life is like. And people were sending in, crashing out at this one guy that was saying, you got to stay in your parish and fix it. Go to your local parish. And people were like, this is what the local parish is freaking doing. And guys were sharing, like, they're doing like a pagan mass, like that week. They're celebrating some pagan holiday. The local Novus Ordo church, I can't trust my kids to go to Sunday school. Why am I going to stay there? You know, right. So you have 2 options from there. Either you go and join these traditional Roman Catholic parishes, or you become a uniate, right?
Yeah.
If you want to stay Roman Catholic. So
yeah, then why would you want to be in communion with a bunch of people that disagree with you on almost everything?
Right. Exactly. So you either become a biz LARPer, or you become you know, TLM guy. Why don't you just do the real thing? If you're going to LARP, like if you're going to be a uniate, LARP is Orthodox. Why don't you just become Orthodox?
Just go be Orthodox.
You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, we're going to see a lot of the trads, I think, split off and leaving, because they're treating them horribly, dude. I feel bad.
Yeah, they hate them.
Yeah, they don't want them there. They don't freaking want them there.
Yeah,
guys, come over.
Yeah, and they have this like 2 steps or 1 step forward, 2 steps back approach, where like, sure, Pope Leo might approve a traditional Latin Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. I remember like a few months ago, there was like 1 traditional Latin Mass that he approved to occur in St. Peter's Basilica or something like that. Yeah. And but that's at the expense of, while he permitted that 1 traditional Latin Mass to occur in the Vatican, he's shutting down the traditional Latin Mass in numerous dioceses across America. Like, I'm pretty sure also, and like, I might be wrong about this, but I think in Wagner's own jurisdiction, they're like coming down hard on that traditional Latin Mass, where there's not going to be one there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're going to be gone. I mean, I feel bad for dudes like that because they're like, you know, hey, come and be Roman Catholic. This is what you're signing up for. Oh, you know what? It's okay. If you're worried about the Novus Ordo, you could find a trad TLM mass somewhere. These guys uproot their entire family, and they're like, you know what? I want to join the Roman Catholicism. Like from the edits I see the base crusader. There's Latin chants going on. He's like, oh, you know, he's crossing himself. He's praying the rosary. It's so based, and that's not at all what Roman Catholicism is like today. So these guys are selling you false bill of goods. They're saying, come and be Roman Catholic. We have your TLM mass. It's all good. Just go, you know, drive 2 hours away and you'll be able to find your trad TLM mass. Those are going to be gone, dude. Those are going to be gone. So you're uprooting your entire family to join a church that doesn't want you there, first off. Yeah. And they don't want you to have the Latin mass that, you know, that attracted you to the church in the first place. You know what the real option is? If you're really like super into you know, this type of stuff, why don't you go find like a Western Rite Orthodox Church? If that's really like the deal breaker for you. I mean, granted, everybody's got mixed opinions on them, but I mean, if that is really like all it is for you, like go find that, or just, you know, stop being dumb and become Orthodox, period.
Yeah, cut it out with the cognitive dissonance. But I think this is why you see like so much of a disconnect when there's like people like myself or like you, or like I know Nikolai in Korea also has been like trying to hound the online Roman Catholic apologists about this lately. Is like, okay, if you were to sign up today to become Roman Catholic, what are you signing up for today? We're not talking about 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago or even 200, 100 years ago. Like, there has been significant changes in the last 100 years, even like over the whole timeline. It seems like there has been significant changes from the second millennium, just in general. But like today, if you were to become Roman Catholic, what are you signing up for? And I think that's why like your Catholic news segment is so important and it resonates with so many people, because it's like the state of Roman Catholicism today, which is not based Knights Templar Crusader. It's not like, you know, going and like fighting the Mohammedans or you know, this against the Arians or like the juice box influence. It's like, nope, it's a very different beast than what it was 1,000 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for the trads. They're going to have nowhere to go. You posted a good clip in that one video you did with Taylor Marshall talking about the game plan of the Roman Catholic Church to isolate the trads and then eventually like conquer them and make them kind of like the Uniates. That's on point. That is exactly what they're doing. And they don't care. They don't care that the SSPX is going to basically be schismatic. They want them out. They want the trads out. They see them as basically being in direct opposition of the new church leadership that they want going forward. They do not want conservatives. They don't want people who are going to advocate for a preconciliar church model. They do not want people who are going to hold to the way that Roman Catholicism used to be. They don't want Roman Catholicism to be like that anymore. That's why they are electing these Skittles people to head dicastery positions. They just they just appointed the first woman head of a dicastery, and she's over male clergy, dude. She's over male clergy. It's all people in the religious life. So the monastics, you know, all the monks are under this one woman who said God is a freaking woman, dude. Yeah. This is the model going forward. It's more clown show nonsense.
Yeah. Well, there's also the clip that you shared on X of from that film about Vatican II and the impact on like the monastics, like the nuns, and how like they were, when they were reading out like what Vatican II had decided that like the women that have become nuns and dedicated their lives to Christ to become married to Christ, right, that they're not any different than any other lay person, that there's no like special honor that goes along with that. It really is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's a mess, dude. Well, you want to read the super chats, and I'll hop over to my live stream, and then when you're done there, you can just send people over. But
Yeah, so you go get your stream started, and then I'll go through these super chats here, and I'll close it out and send them your way.
Cool. Appreciate you for having me on the show, man. This was a good chat. We'll definitely do it again soon. These shows are fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Cleve.
All right, bro. See ya.
Yeah. So that was it, everybody. You have it there. Cleve really becoming an expert on like the current state of Roman Catholicism for sure. I think that's really important because, like I said, when you're signing up for Roman Catholicism today, there's like a bundle of scandals that come along with that and a bundle of doctrines. And, the folks online, the Roman Catholic apologists, this Catholic cartel, they're stuck in the past. They're stuck in this manualist tradition that doesn't even apply anymore. Like, yeah, you have Denzinger and Ott and their manuals on Catholic dogma, but, even those are getting thrown out eventually. So we got a few super chats here. We'll go through them. But I think it's important to know that, look, if you're an evangelical or a Protestant or an atheist that's coming to faith and you're considering Roman Catholicism, there's a lot of stuff that you're signing up for. You're signing up for Vatican II. You're signing up for, from the early 1900s, Pope Pius X and the syllabus of errors that came up, along with all the way up to Vatican II. That's a span of what, like 70 years? Enormous changes just in that small time period. Octavian 33, not 199. Thank you very much for the $2. The Vatican will canonize Muhammad in our lifetime. I hope not. Certainly hope not. But it does seem to be moving in that direction. So I think you're onto something there. I really hope they don't. But I mean, they're praying in mosques with imams facing Mecca. Like, it's pretty concerning. And $4.99 from True 41C. Thanks very much. Ben just isn't a dynamic thinker. Just be more dynamic, man. Open up to a little spontaneity. Why wouldn't you want to freshen things up? It's only dogma. Yeah, I mean, that does seem to be the approach that they're taking today. It's very concerning, right? Where really anything is just they accept a hook, line, and sinker, and then they try to justify it after the fact. Austin Tom, $9.99. Thank you very much, Austin. Trad cats are far more Protestant than they even know, constantly arguing that the visible church is wrong, but some invisible Roman Catholic Church is still true. Yeah. I mean, you're right on the money with that one. And one of the big reasons why I stay away from like the trad cat stuff is because Ubi Petrus, who is more knowledgeable on the subject than I am, he's like the big brain on this. He was like, hey, great job in your debate with Elijah. Nonetheless, if you decide to go down this, know that like this trad cat rabbit hole with like the Diamond Brothers and stuff, that's very, very niche and never ending, and it takes a toll on your soul. So I'll let Ubi take that on. I think my approach is very down to earth and practical for people. Look, just like start from the Book of Acts, go through church history, see what happens at every schism. I mean, the West seems to be wrong like pretty early on with the Filioque and the Azymes and the papal supremacy tendencies. And what do you know? Bada bing, bada boom. Right after the schism, they have a Reformation, the Gregorian Reformation, right? Where you see a lot more centralization of power around the Pope. $50 from CK Reactions. Dude, this is crazy. Thank you for the generosity, CK. I appreciate that. And you know what? I'll throw in a scream for Ben as well. I agree with what Cleve said. I think this was referring to when he cares about the kids and he cares about like people that are taking their families to the Roman Catholic Church now. He said it is sad. A lot of respect for all the Roman Catholic converts to Eastern Orthodoxy, to Holy Orthodoxy. Yeah. Guys, we want you guys here. Like, what, you trad cats, we want you here. Come here. Like, why are you guys going to Byzantine Catholic churches? I really think that there is some like psychological prison where they can't get around. I need to be in communion with the See of Peter. Well, guess what? Saint Cyprian says every bishop is a Peter, right? And in that sense, every bishop embodies the keys and the power that was given to Saint Peter by Christ, right? And even like your own old Roman Catholic councils acknowledge that, like Lateran IV, that Christ gave the keys to each of the apostles. And there's no intermediary mention there that he gave it to the apostles through Peter. It says Christ gave it to each of the apostles. Right. N.H6001, $4.99. Thank you very much for the super chat. Off topic, but can you help explain the sacrifice in the Eucharist in a simple way that I can explain to my evangelical family? Yeah, Christ is the Passover lamb to partake and to be covered by the Passover sacrifice. You see in the book of Exodus, there are different components to it, right? There's a way to kill the lamb. The lamb has to be without spot, blemishless, right? And you have to take the blood of the lamb, put it on the post of your house, right? But a lot of people's understanding of the Passover kind of stops right there. It's like they kill the lamb, they take the blood, they put it over the house, they're good, right? Wrong. You are not good yet. You still have to eat the lamb, right? You have to eat the lamb. So, and you have to eat the entire lamb. It says like by sunrise or something like that. There is some a stipulation that the entire lamb needs to be eaten, right? So in order to partake in God's covenant, you have to not only be covered by the blood of the lamb, to be covered by the blood of Christ, to be born again through baptism, and to be sealed with the Holy Spirit that they do at chrismation. You have to partake in the sacrifice, and that means also consuming the body and blood of the lamb, right? So of course they like strained the blood of the lamb. Then the blood has like different symbolic meanings, right? It means in the Old Testament, the blood was seen as like the source of life, right? When we partake of the blood of Christ, we partake in his eternal life. It was also seen as being a part of the same family. So when Moses, took the blood of the sacrificial animal and then he sprinkled it onto the Ark of the Covenant and then he sprinkled it onto the people, it's like the people and God are like the same blood, right? So they're like the same family. So there's a lot of different components. Basically, the Eucharist ties into the Passover. And if you read Father Stephen's Religion of the Apostles, he covers this. And I'm looking forward to his new book on the atonement as well. I think that'll be a very, very important book because there's so much discussion and discourse going on right now in the Orthodox community on this. So you should have Dr. Nathan Jacob on. People keep on mentioning his name. So I think I will have to have him on as well. I'm going to make a note of that here. Dr. Nathan Jacob. I'm familiar with his stuff. And I know Nikolai in Korea has mentioned him a few times as well. So maybe I'll reach out to him. We can have a good discussion as well. Maybe on the Calvinist stuff. But recently, a lot of my focus has been on the Calvinism, on total depravity. Like, what exactly does it mean? I'm taking a lot of care in this video essay to make sure I don't actually misrepresent any of the Reformed views, right? But that is kind of the group that I'm going to come after next because there are inconsistencies in a lot of Protestant, in all of the Protestant worldviews, in my opinion. But Calvinism, I think, is particularly bad. It particularly traps people in a certain way of thinking. And if we could release some of that, I think a lot of them would come over to Orthodoxy. There's also another comment from someone that was talking about like Lutheranism, that we have a lot of low-hanging fruit over there in Lutheranism. But I have some personal experience with the tulip theology, so it means a lot more. It's like something I have a personal bone to pick with, right? Rome still has the keys. The rest of the Pentarchy just changed the locks. Also, Passover is a typology for the Eucharist. I wasn't sure, but I winged it in a conversation the other day. Yeah, that's why, like, when Christ was killed, like, what was the celebration? Like, what festival were they celebrating? The Passover, right? They weren't celebrating the Day of Atonement ritual. They weren't celebrating whatever the Festival of Lights. They were celebrating the Passover. So that's where the crossover is, right? There's no Alex Clips channels. Yeah, sadly. If you guys want to start one, go ahead and start one. That's fine. This is a great explanation. Good. I'm glad that it's useful. Who's clipping this? Yeah, if you guys want to clip whatever, go ahead. I don't care. I'm not going to like go around bonking everybody on the head for like copyright infringement. I mean, the point is to get the information out there, right? If an EO wanted to clip your content and upload it on YouTube, would you be okay with that? Yes. Yes, I would be okay with that. Like, there's plenty of the Orthodox pie to go around. Like, there's room for people to enter the space. There's a lot of room. If you're good and you have something to offer, even if it's just like a clips channel, you like go out and you just take clips from Jay and myself and Cleve. All of us have given permission. You guys have carte blanche to clip our stuff and like start your own channels, right? Watch how he's a lawyer. This is entrapment, huh? I'm entrapping you guys. No. honestly, go ahead. Feel free. Please. I'd be Orthodox tomorrow if they could prove without a doubt that apostles' authority, emperor's authority wasn't passed down. I could find 100%. I don't really know what this means, but I think it should be Orthodox. Absolutely. You should have Jordan Peterson on, talk about the shadow stuff once he gets better. I have heard that he is doing like very, very bad. So that's I've heard from some people that are like know him like 2 degrees away. Like I spoke to somebody who knows him, and they said that he's not doing very well. So that's we should pray for his soul. But the negative comments on him makes me a little sad, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, I think he helped a lot of us in that period in 2016-ish, like when he rose to prominence, especially against that Bill C-16 in Canada that was trying to mandate certain speech. I think perhaps even in the way that, you know, God used Cyrus, he used Jordan Peterson to spare the Christians in Canada of like a certain wrath of the government. But I mean, you see where he's ended up now, and it's pretty sad. It seems that he has resisted the Holy Spirit in the same way that Stephen talks to the Sanhedrin in Acts chapter 7. You always resist the Holy Spirit, and it seems to me like he's resisting the Holy Spirit, especially when you have somebody as brilliant as Jonathan Pajot in your circle. Like, I don't know, and that's like his thing, right? Jonathan Pajot's thing is like the archetypes, the symbology. Like they're speaking the same language. Clearly, God is putting people in Jordan Peterson's circle, trying to bring him to the truth, but he's resisting the Holy Spirit. In my opinion, that just seems to be what I see. I hope that he's not, right? Got to clip the permission. Yeah, the good old CYA, right? That's what they cover it. That's what they call it. So, and he pushed back on atheist goobers. Yeah. I'm also 25. Why does Cleve think I'm a teenager? I don't know. It seems like a bona fide mistake. Yeah. Peter started 3 patriarchates. Rome was only 1. Yeah, that's a good point. So it's 8:02 now at this point, guys, that I see. So as much as I can't stomach a lot of this content now, I will forever be grateful to Jordan Peterson for introducing me to Dostoevsky, which introduced me to Orthodoxy. Yeah, he has good content. It's just it seems that like that track, he was going down a certain like a certain line of thinking that would naturally, I think, lead him to Orthodoxy. And you can see that there's like just a certain disconnect there. But I'm going to end the stream here, guys. You awful turned diva and crashed out. Thank you, Mista, for sharing this in the chat. Follow me on X, on YouTube. Thank you very much for all the super chats. You guys were very generous today. I appreciate that so much. It's just going to go right back into the channel. And guys, it's shifting more from law practice to YouTube at this point. So hopefully this year I'm going to be able to like fully go bona fide full time in the YouTube content, and then we'll be unstoppable. We'll go full attack mode because we should attack at this point. We have the upper hand. But I'm going to send you guys over to Cleve. Thank you very much for the memberships, the super chats, everything. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you likely later this week. Thanks again.